Swampizo! Sam!
Hello.
Swampizo!
Hey, suck my dick.
Swampizo!
Suck my dick. I cut it a big.
Sam!
Too big.
Swampizo!
Rich. Rickety
Swampizo!
So suck my dick.
Yeah!
Morty.
Swampizo!
Swampizo.
Swampizo! Swampizo!
Where's Zelda?
All right then. Hello. If you are still here and you've not been completely scared off, welcome to the season. Thank you very much for that, Billy. Welcome to the season 2 finale of Top Fellas.
This is the end of this second season.
This is the end of the second season.
Fucking hell, already.
Already, I know. The year went very fast, didn't it?
Fast.
And
Yeah.
on the subject of the year, Swampizo, we will be. Thank you for that.
Our special guest today is Swampizo.
Yeah, our special guest is
producing this.
Yeah.
Guys, on a serious note.
Swampizo.
On a
Back,
serious
back.
note, this second season has been great.
It has.
To all the guests that have come, fuck you. I'm kidding. No, thanks to all the guests that have came. Let's
Oh,
talk.
wait, actually, before we start, who was everyone's favourite guest?
Oh.
Do you know who mine was?
Ooh.
Swampizo. No, yeah,
Yeah,
valid.
he's
Yeah.
a
That
valid.
was such
on a
shite
serious note.
joke, honestly.
Right, Ben, do you know what I have to say to that?
Swampizo.
On a serious note, who was your favorite guest?
Yeah, it's like,
I need to look. Let me look over.
who
I
are
was
our
actually
guests?
joking. I don't really want to rate the best guest.
We should
No,
have like a
just say your
registry of,
favorite.
like all the guests we've had, but like we
We
don't.
should- we don't.
Like, what was your
Who have we
favorite?
had this year?
What was your favorite episode
Joe, Maddie, Jilla,
of
Keep naming
Ethan,
people.
Me
Jukes.
Trilogies?
Jukes
Jukes' one was quite funny.
I
Top
was gonna say
top
Jukes.
10 numbers between
Top
1 and
10
10. That's got to be.
I think that's my highlight.
I
honestly.
think top 10 numbers between 1 and 10.
fuck.
Sing.
Louis,
Swampizo. Yeah, him too.
Oscar.
Sam.
I'd say
Sam.
Sam.
was really
Sam. Was
Sam.
pretty good,
Banger.
yeah.
I love.
Hold on, I'm
Sam.
gonna just. Sam, I think I probably got to give it to Sam.
Sam.
Yeah.
Top 10 supermarkets was pretty goated.
That was a good one.
But back to it because we probably got a few people. Is today we will be ranking our top 10. So this is just all of them ranked second year films. Now, for the people that don't know what this is in second year our course produced 10 films. So we're 10 groups, 10 crews, and 10 films were produced. And we all watched them at the cinema yesterday in a big premiere. We were all suited and booted, and we went
Yeah.
to the premiere and we
This
watched
is
them all.
fresh out of our minds, but
And yeah, this was yesterday. We watched the final cut of them all.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is we're going to rank them from 10 to 1. Now, I'm going to put it out there. For me personally, I like them all. I thought they were all pretty good. And I thought everyone did a good job. And so fair play. But this is just personal ranking from enjoyment and from everything kind of being
what
taken
we can
into
say
account.
is all movies were good. They're
Yes.
Yeah,
movies that could be
Considered good.
published,
Mm.
put in cinemas everywhere.
I
Everybody did a good job.
Yeah.
think everyone did a really good job.
Yeah.
Griebus really enjoyed it.
Grievous really enjoyed it.
Who's
so did,
Grievous?
so did
Griebus.
you don't know Grievous?
He was
Grievous-
I am Griebus.
Yes.
I'm Griebus. I love Albanian goat farming. I'm
Yeah.
Griebus.
I have yet to meet. We should bring Grievous on the pod.
Yeah, we'll bring
Yeah.
Grievous on the pod one
Season
day. but that's
3,
Grievous, yeah.
first guest of season 3.
Grievous fucking loved it though, yeah.
But yeah, Grievous.
Did I
was-
play Grievous?
Grievous
What about
was
you, Billy?
amazing.
What's
I was
any?
going to say, I personally think it's going to be very difficult to rank these because they're all very different. So
Yeah.
When we're ranking these, we're basically a lot of it was down to splitting hairs.
Honestly,
a lot of them are very close. So.
on the
Yeah.
bus, I was ranking them on the bus here. It was most of them I can change around, and I just wouldn't really
Yeah.
have anything to say. I would just naturally
Yeah.
just say fair enough. If any of these are a personal favorite, that is absolutely fine because they're all pretty good.
Yeah, they're easily interchangeable.
Yeah.
My
What do you
favorite.
think?
I think starting off, my favorite film was probably
Yeah.
Banged and
Oh.
Oh.
Yo,
We're
wait.
going from
We're
10
going
to
to
1.
10 to 1, mate. You forgot the whole concept of Top Fellas.
Just let me finish, bro.
Let him finish the joke.
All right,
I don't think he's
okay.
actually gonna
Let
say
me
that.
finish the joke,
We
man.
were,
Let me finish the
we were
joke.
scared, mate.
Yeah, that's right. You should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
I was gonna say my favorite film
Burn.
was of all of them was Buggered and Bent, a Wet Hood story.
A wet hood. It's a wet hood.
It's a Wet Hood story.
Burn.
They all slip and slide around that hood. You know what I'm saying? Hey yo, you owe me money, man. Woo! I slid over, man. The streets are so wet around here.
What's
Should we-
going on?
We talk about Oscar's mistake.
Oh my god, yeah. All right, real quick
What
before we
happened?
start.
Before we start,
I laughed my fucking head off last
So
night
did
when I
I.
got home because I was
laughed
like,
my head off this morning when I saw it.
I saw it when I got home because Oscar had uploaded them like when he got home as well, right? You know how he'd gone around asking everyone their letterbox.
Oh, yeah, the
top four
letterbox.
picks,
Yeah.
right?
We did Oscar
He
did
went
like a
up to
letterbox.
Bro,
Rowan, right, and he did his letterbox top 4 picks.
Oh, I saw
And
this.
the one that he got on the last film that Rowan put was Black
Black
Clay.
Klansman.
Black
Black
Klansman.
And he
Spike-
said, he
Spike
specifically,
Lee.
he's like,
Spike
I
Lee.
like Black Klansman because it deals with racial
Racism.
topics and racial
yeah.
issues.
But it's also very funny, right?
And then the graphic pulls up, and it's Black Panther.
Saw that.
And I was like, bro, out of all the movies to get it wrong, that one isn't a good look, Oscar. But yeah, that was funny.
All right, should we start
Dumb
the
ramble,
ranking?
man.
What we're going to do for this one is instead of our normal one where we come up with the definitive, we're just going to go round and we're just going to say everyone's number 10, so we're going to do everyone's number 9s,
Hanging around.
everyone's number 8s, and a little
Yeah.
explanation each, just so it doesn't go on too long.
Yeah.
All right. That being said, I think we all
I think
have
we
the
all
same
yeah.
number 10.
Do it.
So let's get this ranking started, and
Number 10 is Squeezy Noir, isn't it?
I agree.
Yes.
Is that?
It's Cuisine Noir.
Is Squeezy Noir your 10?
What is squeezing?
It's the
Yeah,
name. It's
that's
the
the-
new
that's
name.
the actual
Sketch
name.
and a Monster
Changed it.
rebranded to Esquire Noir, but
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah,
squeezing
yeah,
on.
that is.
we
what
call
it
it.
is,
Me and Billy, we still call it.
We shall
Sketch and a
start
Monster.
with.
We'll all talk for Sketch and a Monster.
So
Yeah.
Sketch and a Monster.
That's what it was
Opinion.
previously named at, but that's the most common name people call it because it's
Iconic.
Cuisine Noir.
It was
Kinda hard
shite.
to-
They let the actor have.
Okay.
We literally just said that they were all good.
No, it was shite.
All right. Fred thinks it was
It was shite. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Why
I'm
so?
gonna be honest. It's
Be
like
honest.
Go for
because I feel like they just let the actor have way too much domain over the project. Like, they should have had like. She's a good actor. I've worked with her before,
Mm.
but she needs direction.
Okay,
You
but,
know,
as all actors do.
But the thing, because the thing is if you don't give an actress
Action.
direction,
They just
direction.
wander around.
they'll just wander and they'll just add more drama to it, and it's just not necessary to tell the scene and things like that.
Mm.
You know, so that was one problem. Like, there's par example. There's one scene where she's literally just sat on the floor crying, like smacking her hands into her
Oh,
face.
yeah.
Yeah, that
She
scene
does it
was a little
6
long.
times.
To be fair,
It's
that's
like a quarter of the film.
It was all a one shot, and it was
Uh,
very interesting.
It was like static, and they added it in like in post, like a slight zoom. But like that just literally was not enough to like entice an audience or
Mm,
anything like that.
That's
you know?
fair enough.
I think concept-wise, it was a good concept, especially visually.
Yeah, it's
having
a good
monster,
concept.
like having somebody slowly turn their hands black. Okay, out of context.
Yeah, that was
that's
the
not-
other thing about
Yeah,
it.
slowly-
The slightly racial undertones
yeah,
of a woman
but,
freaking out
like,
because she's turning black.
But yeah, like you could visually make that interesting. I think they didn't push enough.
I
uh,
thought what they said they were going to do was they were going to put some VFX over
lot
the
of
last
people
shot.
thought
I
that.
was
Yeah.
I was convinced.
Yeah.
Before we get any further, I'm just going to say if you haven't seen the second year of films, this probably isn't the episode for you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, it was right at the end when she moves the hair out of her eyes. I was convinced that they were going to do the ending of Thriller where Michael Jackson turns
Yeah.
around and he's got his eyes.
It
You know
is-
the ending of Thriller.
Yeah.
Do you know what they should have done at the end?
I was
They should've-
convinced that was going to happen. He did the
Yeah.
thing.
He did the thing, guys. Audio listeners,
No, it
he
was-
did the thing.
It just made me cringe so
I think-
much.
yeah,
in the
I think
cinema
it's
when they did
just,
that. It was just like, oh. Man.
It's ranked the lowest for me because, how should I put it? In nice way?
Shite.
It's like a flat line. It's like it's
Let him
like
cook.
in when you watch the movie. When
Can I
you
just say that's so much ruder than saying it's shite? Just saying it's a flat. Like,
no,
meaning
not in the way,
it's-
not in the way that it's,
Let the man
it
cook.
doesn't move you any way.
Okay,
It just
I get what you're saying.
stay constant. It doesn't go out of its way to do something big or small.
Yeah.
It just stays the same
Fair enough.
throughout the film.
I just thought.
And there's a lot of
agreed.
times where I felt like it could have enhanced if they just did like one shot I didn't particularly like was when she sat down on the floor right next to the door, hands on her face, but they didn't pan down.
Yeah.
And I was
Mm.
like, throughout that shot, I'm like, please pan down.
It's like when she's at the
Yeah.
supermarket and she's buying like the things to clean her hands, and then she starts freaking out. We don't see a close up of her hands, so she
Yeah.
just runs out the door because it looks like she doesn't have enough money.
But there is,
Yeah, that's what I thought it was at first.
But
you
there
thought
is
that, you
good.
thought she didn't have enough
I
money.
thought she'd run out of money because it looked like she had like
Yeah.
one coin in her hand or
Yeah.
something.
there is some good, like one shot that I really liked in that film was her painting in the lens.
Mm.
That's a really good shot.
Yeah, but then they didn't even show what she was painting until like the very
Yeah.
last.
I
second.
think-
You
yeah,
got a
just-
very fair point. And then her reaction to what she was painting was this. Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, I think she might be freaked out by what she's just painted.
All right, I don't think we should tear this. Poor
Yeah,
film
we'll
any more apart.
I
Yeah.
will.
Good
We should
concept.
do that another time.
Good concept.
Maybe with a bit more.
Not the best
bit more time.
execution.
Also, I said well done to the director after the little theatre premiere, and he didn't acknowledge me. So
What, Cosmo?
Whoa.
Cosmo didn't even work on it much, mate.
I know.
Yeah.
But I still said it. I still went up to
He-
him and
like,
said,
I asked him
"Good
about
job."
it after the premiere. I said,
Good.
"How do you feel about it?" He went, "Nah, great." Like that.
Oh,
and I was
God.
like, "Fair play to Cosmo."
I did go out to him just because I thought I said fair
Yeah.
play, did what I needed you
Oh
to
my
say.
god.
What do I want to put for number 9?
All right, who's
Uh,
going first on number
I
9?
don't want to go first.
I-
Let's
I'm
go,
gonna-
Fred. He's the
Fred,
who's the
you go.
most vocal about.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we'll go you first, and we'll go round.
Jab.
Oh, jab at number 9. Okay.
Wow.
They did it a lot better
I
in
I
the
agree.
premiere,
That's
but
also my number 9.
it's still missing bits and bobs, and it's still a bit shite.
Yeah.
I think
Do tell.
I like when I watched it this time. One sec, real quick.
Yep.
When I
Finish
watched
your
it this time, it was so much better because they cut lines where it just obviously felt like it was written by Ollie Childs whilst he was drunk, like "you're a good kid" and shit like that. That was cut. I thought that was a very good decision to cut that. The sound design was a lot better.
Editing, the ending.
The edit was very good.
The ending was much better.
the
Color
edit
grade was
actually
pretty
saved the
decent.
ending.
It was quite balanced, but it had like a little bit of a grade to it, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
The one shot is like I still think one of the best shots on the course.
I agree. That
Yeah.
there was when the
Yeah.
camera goes through the ropes. I thought that was in.
Yeah.
This is just for point of reference. We're saying all this good stuff about number 9. That's how good these films were.
Yeah. Well, it's Jab, but
Yeah, I
You know.
don't look. I
but,
thought
like,
Jab
the
was
thi-
good.
Yeah, no, I'd say it was very good for what it was, but at the same time, there was obviously still problems with it and stuff. Like Mia's lines in it were just really just like it's very like for a man
Cheesy.
like Ollie Childs, who's always around women, you know.
Oh my god.
You know, has never ever. It almost feels like he's never spoken to a woman before. How many women do you
be
know
fair,
say "pretty boy"? You know,
Yeah,
multiple
the fact that she said it
times.
more than once annoys me as well. Like she said it
You
at least
know,
3 times.
And he every time I brought this up to him after like the Vimeo review, I said like, "What's the deal with using the word pretty boy so often?" He just turned around and go like, "Oh, it's the." It's the directing course, people. They won't let me write my script how I want it to. What, so
Yeah.
they told you to write Pretty Boy 3 times? Well, I was going to have this whole plot line with his mum, and that's why he's angry. And I'm like,
I think
what will that add to it?
I
Like,
think
just have him have anger problems.
with
Like,
Yeah.
Jab,
just have that. you know?
had the film been 10 minutes, I think it would have been a lot more effective.
I feel like
because 6 minutes just wasn't enough to tell that story.
I feel like Jab is
That's
one
fine.
of those films that got its problems because it was too big of an idea for a 6-minute film.
Agreed.
I also have Jab on number 9 because Jab is good. It has some high points, but it also has really low points.
Fair enough.
From last, like I said, from like Fred said, from the last time I saw it, it generally it did improve, but the problems I had with it were still there. But honestly, the problems I had with it was such a foundational problem of the film that they couldn't really change it at the time that they could.
Fair enough.
For example, like how the story was structured, some scenes could have been combined or some scenes could have been cut. For example, the first scene with the coach and the boxer at the changing rooms.
Yes.
I feel like that could have been combined with the scene after,
Yes.
where
Yeah.
after he introduces Mia, he puts him inside and is like, "You alright?" And he talks about the book and stuff. Like that could have been a combined scene. Sound design was way better, and also editing. They did it way better because last time it was like random cuts to B-roll, and this time they was properly cut. One of the best one shots. I
Yeah.
think one thing the Jab was really ambitious on making a boxing movie when we have strict regulations against doing boxing stuff. Thanks for that fart, Fred.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry,
I'm going to go into
you know.
Jab. Jab's not far off number 9 for
But-
me, so I'm going to go into a bit more details on my thoughts
But
on
yeah,
it in a
but
bit.
what brings Jab so low is because the low points are so low. And-
What's like the main low point?
Yeah,
for
what
you?
was the big one for
Like
you?
I said, it's just
The ending.
The ending
saved it
is
a bit, to be fair.
the ending was better this
Yeah,
time, but it's
still
still
a bit.
the low point of Jab is it's the best it can be from a faulty structure.
Fair. No,
it's
fair.
it's like a building they try to you shut the fuck up. They built the best building they can, but when the earthquake hits, it breaks still.
Fair
So,
enough.
Yeah, nah, for real.
Billy, do you want to go? Oh, sorry, Fred.
I was just gonna say, like, as well, the thing that I was like chuckling about to myself, like, whilst Vilgot was saying, it's not because I farted or because like,
Let me speak.
Oh really?
sorry, are you talking then? Anyways, what's it called? The reason why I was like chuckling to myself was because I caught up with Charlton yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And Charlton said, "Oh, I just spoke to Ollie Childs." Wait, hold on, let me do my Charlton impression. Hold on. I just spoke to Ollie Childs.
That's pretty good.
And I went, what did he say? And he said, he just told me that I am allowed to direct the next Jab film. I'm going to be redoing it myself.
They're doing
And
a
I
Jab
ju-
remake.
They're doing a Jab
Jab 2.
remake, and it's directed by Charlton, and I laughed
They're
in
doing
his
Jab Jab.
face. And he went, "Why are you laughing? Are you going to drop out the project again?" Like,
Crikey.
context this joke, Charlton was supposed to be the original director for
Director.
Jab, and then he dropped out of the project,
Yeah.
which is, you know, obviously a bit of a low blow from me there because it was for obvious, like some deep underlying reasons for him. But now he says he wants to come back to the project again. But at the same time, Charlton is the king and crown of most unfinished projects, right? Don't
That's
give that
coming
shit
from
to
Fred.
me. That's
Nah.
coming from me, okay? I don't finish a lot of shit, but Charlton's on like another level.
To be fair,
You know,
Jab Jab could be quite interesting.
jab, jab.
No,
It'd
it'll
be
be
called Uppercut.
No, it would be called Jab X.
Oh yeah, it could be good Jab X.
All right.
Fred, what's your...
Jab
No, not
X.
Fred. Billy,
Jab
what's your
X,
number?
Legends Never
Billy,
Die.
what's your number 9?
What's my number 9?
Yeah.
Oh, I put Insignia for number 9. And before all of you have a go at me, I spoke to
No?
Oliver about this, and and he's the director of it, and we had some very similar issues with the film. We both said visually, pretty good movie. There's
Yeah.
some really nice shots.
Agreed.
Very good use of
Completely
the
agree.
The Void
all
in
black,
Studio B
yeah.
was really
I thought that was
good.
really clever.
Really, really
But
good.
then that's where the like high points kind of stop.
Mhm.
I can't think of anything else I really liked about the movie. It was too confusing
Yeah.
for a 6-minute film, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
agreed.
They were really ambitious, which is
Yeah.
a good thing, but 6 minutes is way too short to do that kind of stuff. They had
Yeah.
like 7 different plot points going at the same time, and it was. A bit
I think a lot of the
over
flaws
the
with
top.
these films, especially on like the lower half, is 6 minutes. It's just
Yeah.
there was too ambitious.
Big ideas, too small of a run
The-
time.
One thing I will say real quick is, Harry Wooderson, who's like got his brain hardwired to like DOP mode, that I was sat next to during the premiere.
Oh yeah.
Basically, I'd look at him every time he thought there was a good shot in something, and in Insignia, he liked that one the most. Like, well, from his
With DOP
reaction,
standard.
from
Yeah,
a DOP standard.
that's why
Because
I
he
was
like
looking at this
literally
one as
he
well.
saw the shot where like the lady walks into the house and it cuts to the void, like from the walk-in
Yeah,
shot.
that was the look.
And then Harry turned around to me and he said, "I've just creamed myself."
I did as well, because
It
I
was-
was a DOP as well, so I was like, damn, that was pretty clever. I like that.
Oliver is so like he's a wizard at blocking. Like,
Yeah.
like,
The blocking in that movie was
Yes.
fantastic.
he like the one thing
His
I will
direction
say.
blocking
in that
out
was
of all the movies.
fantastic.
Yeah, like I will say this right now, like Oliver Dukes is one of the people who in third year I could see being like a really, really good director.
Yeah.
Like,
Oliver
the
Dukes is a man
only
who is
reason why he's
who knows what he's doing.
like what's happened
Hmm.
is it's the same reason that I'm sure you've faced, same reason I've faced as being director and all that. And that's because your crew doesn't trust you and they don't want to listen to you because they don't see the same vision as
I
you.
think the problem is everyone's very opinionated and everyone wants to go with what they think.
Yes.
So it's difficult to listen to one person
Yeah.
say.
The thing is that like you need to have that bluntness.
I
about
know,
you
and that's
to
what
just turn
all the
around and just
directors
go,
will
"No,
struggle
shite,
with,
mate."
especially.
Yeah.
It's just
I-
there's always
I-
going to be more
Not
opinions.
anymore.
No,
Not
I know, I
anymore.
know.
That shit got beat out of me, man. I was like, right.
I'm just saying that's something that probably
Yeah.
Oliver ran into.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I don't blame
Yeah.
him for that. But
I got
yeah.
quite a controversial
What's your
pick
number
9.
nine?
Is I'm gonna put it out there is mates with a few people on this
Oh,
film.
I know.
And I actually donated a £5 to it, and I don't think it was a bad film whatsoever. And I'm going to justify myself with this one. But number 9, and I think all of the films from this point are really quite good. Number 9, I've
Sorry,
put The
number
Last Call,
All right.
That is a very fair one.
There.
and I'm going to say like I think everything about it was really quite good, but it was bogged down by the acting. And
Yeah.
it's such a big thing that I'm not even going to say who it was, that you know who I'm talking about. It's sort of like if. Like
It
I
was
don't
the
know.
Mum.
Yes. It's sort of like,
right.
imagine if you're watching Before Sunrise and then one of the and then Julie Delpy's going, "I love you, Ethan Hawke. I love you, Ethan. Come out with me to Vienna." It ruins the movie, you know?
Yeah.
You can't, it's a flaw so big you can't really look past it.
I-
And when the film is they're basically relying on 3 performances, and a third of those performances
Yeah.
make me laugh, I think the whole thing gets bogged down. Like when we were watching it in the cinema, me and Fred were on opposite sides of the room.
we
And-
were like looking at each other, laughing.
We were
our
on
fucking heads
completely
off.
different sides of the room. And you know that episode of Sunny in Philadelphia where Mac and Charlie are like looking at each other from across the restaurant?
Yeah.
We just kept
Yeah, we
doing
kept
that
doing that, like,
every
it's so
time she
fucking
was
funny,
talking.
bro.
But I think it's an interesting case study because everybody else on that film was kind of firing on all cylinders. But one element of it was lackluster. And as a result, the whole
To
thing
be-
toppled
I-
down.
Can I just say one
yeah,
thing? To be
You can
fair,
say something.
all of the elements from that film were really good. It's a shame when it's the acting, which isn't really in your control.
No, yeah,
as-
agreed.
As a film,
Yes.
Agreed.
But the thing is,
This
they
isn't
did
knocking the
try-
team. This
they-
is not knocking the team.
They really
at all.
did try and tone down the actor because that's their second take and that's the toned down version.
That's the reshoot,
I
isn't
know.
it? At that point, that is a flaw with the actor. That is not a
So
flaw
that's
with,
why,
with
for
the
me,
crew.
Yeah.
I'm trying to ignore the acting a bit in that respect, which is probably a stupid thing to do, but that's
Yeah.
why it's not number 9
No,
for me.
understandable.
Because I think a lot of the movie is really good. Like the location's fantastic. It's probably the best location.
I also think, however, they could have done with a little bit more coverage of the
Yeah, I
like the
do agree
final
with that.
shot.
Yeah.
The camera pans round at the train station, but it stops before you see the steam train. I'm like, you'd have panned around a little bit more, and you'd end the film with the steam train. Signifies that she's going off. You know, she's flying away on this train,
Yeah, 'cause we
and
got,
it
like,
shows the
tapes.
location, flying away like the Hogwarts Express.
Like Pixel Gun 3D, I can kill them.
That's a really good
Niche reference.
I know exactly.
I know exactly what you mean. But like, it shows that she's moving it on, and it also shows the location more, but they just didn't cover it
the
enough.
coverage of the location. Was
They
a
were
big shame.
focused. The camera was aimed towards the wall and not the train
It
tracks.
was covering a bench in the train station
Yeah.
rather than the train.
But I also think, however, when they were in the house, it was lit really well. It was shot really well.
Yeah.
Billy pointed some out on the bus earlier is that when they were shooting the mum, the camera was handheld, but when they were shooting the daughter, the camera was static and tripod. That's really clever. That's
And
really
it's little
smart.
details like that
Good
which makes
detail.
it not number 9 for me. It
And
makes
I-
it higher up on the list. for
I
me.
have to say, fair play for that. I don't even think some of the writing was that bad.
No,
I
the writing
agree.
wasn't
I
that
gave
bad.
it
Okay,
a
well,
lot
the
of
writing was a little
shit at
bit
first, but that's because
interesting.
like I don't know. I just gave it a lot of shit because the acting just bogged it down
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
that
I'm
I
trying
was
to
just
ignore
like, this
that,
is
though.
so like.
If you're ignoring the acting, I would move it up the ranking
Oh,
most
but you can't
certainly.
ignore
When I was in
Yeah.
the Vimeo review, like I thought it
Yeah.
was just kind of insulting how bad the acting
Yeah.
was because
It
it's
doesn't
such a heavy
reflect-
topic.
Yeah.
But then when I found out, like from various sources and stuff, that Dylan's writing from like somewhere. I'm not going to say where because obviously it's a personal place.
Yeah.
But he's writing from somewhere personal, and you actually kind of listen to the lines and stuff. It kind of feels like actual conversations that like
The writing's
that you would
great.
have that.
The writing's excellent.
But
The
the
one-
problem is that the fucking
It's entirely, and you can look if you could look past the
acting's
acting, I would
terrible.
move it up the ranking. But I think it is the best comparison I can make is if you're watching Before
Yeah.
Sunrise and one of the actors
It
is
takes
going,
you out of
"I
it.
love you,
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke. I want to go to Vienna with you." You can't look
It's
past it at that point,
basically-
especially with such a heavy topic when the drunk, abusive mother is the one who is making you laugh because of her acting. It's
Yeah.
not something you can
It-
look past on. But
Yeah.
I'm okay putting it at number 9 because this isn't a bash on the team. This is a bash on the actor. I think the team did a smashing job.
It's a bash on the casting director, whoever the fuck that was, right?
Whoa.
I ain't gonna. I
Cop
ain't,
that up there.
Can I just say one? Yeah,
I'm not-
agreeing with you, James, but it's a shame because the acting does make it lower down on the list. Like,
Yeah.
Without the
Yeah.
acting, could have been easy.
Without-
Top
It would've
five.
been-
yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
absolutely. So I
Yeah.
think that's number 9 on that one.
It could have been one of the best films in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
But it
The acting
it
does
just
really
wasn't.
take
And it's
you
not
out of
even
it.
it's one actress. It's one of them out.
Oh
of
yeah,
3.
the other ones are brilliant.
So credit where credit's due to the other actors. They are really doing a good job. But that's my number 9, and I think.
Yeah.
That was my number 8 last call. So
Can I
So-
start
so is-
number 8 because my number 8 is with you guys is
Can
number
we
9.
go through because my number 8 is also the last call.
Okay, yeah, we'll
But
go.
I haven't shared my thoughts of last call because
do
it
you mind
was
if
my
I
number
quickly
8.
nip to the toilet whilst you give your thoughts?
go
on it?
for
Yeah.
it.
So I've
Can I
got-
do
So-
my one first because my number 8's Jab, and we've already talked extensively at Jab, so I just want to put my
But,
thoughts out there.
Quick
yeah.
little recap.
You-
Yeah,
you
literally,
do.
really quick because I'll be about a minute on Jab.
And then I'll talk about last
Yeah,
call.
of course.
'cause I haven't-
Okay, so my thoughts on Jab is basically what you guys said, where I think had the film been 10 minutes, I think it would have been absolutely smashing. I think it would have been great. But it's the fact it's 6 minutes long,
Yeah.
which is a real issue with it because they're trying to tackle so much stuff and it doesn't really go anywhere or it comes out of nowhere. So it's like if you have to like think the plot point where the guy can't read, I'm like, okay, that's a good plot point, but it doesn't really go
Yeah,
anywhere in
it
the end.
doesn't.
It's just a thing, you know?
Yeah.
But the ending, the redemption arc where he pushes the woman out of the way, I'm like, fair play. I like that idea, but it just kind of comes out of left
Yeah.
field. There's not that characterization from him early in the film where he's like, I'm a tortured man. I've got this good and this evil. It's just 6 minutes was not long enough to tell that story. Everything else about it, though, the cinematography was absolutely smashing.
Yeah.
Yes.
The improvement from the Vimeo review is second to none. That is the
Yes.
best improvement out of all of the Vimeo reviews.
Yeah.
I just think, other than that, I thought it was a smashing film, but it needed to be longer, and
Yeah.
that is something that they
That-
just couldn't do with making it an
That
assignment.
movie has a problem with build up and setup.
Yeah, I think.
I
Sorry,
was going to say before Vilgot says his one,
his is number.
mine Jab's also number 8 for me, and I'm
Yeah.
just going to say James literally nailed it on the head. This is exactly what I was going to say,
Yeah.
so fair play.
I think, yeah, I just think because I know Jab was a passion project from the director. I think it should have been something he didn't do as an assignment and did it in his own time without the limitations of the 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think a lot of these films feel it's a passion project, but they didn't really consider the short film aspect of it,
Yeah.
which that's
That's
big
always a struggle.
deal.
Yeah,
That's
big
why I
time.
feel like I think the films that succeed are the ones that were born from the brief instead of trying to fit into the brief.
Valid.
That's a very good
That's a
point.
really good way of
And
putting it.
back to last call, like you guys said, the acting is so distracting from the other elements.
Mm.
They also last call has I liked last call really because of that scene where from the dinner when they quickly moved to the dinner table to the room.
Oh, the edit
And
was
then-
brilliant. The way they started, middle, and end was the 3 act
Yes,
structure was
and
brilliant.
From the Vimeo review to now, they did a big change. They swapped scenes,
Yeah.
which enhanced the storytelling. Like you
Can I
guys
just
said,
say shout out to Molly because that was her idea.
yeah,
to do
that was and which was a good idea.
Yeah, fair play.
Also, setting wise, like you guys said, train station wasn't fully used to
It wasn't
its
captured well enough.
best capabilities. I feel like if you have a location like that, try to use it
Make
as
the
much
most of
as
it.
possible. That's one thing Jab does great with the boxing
Yeah.
place. They had a lot of good B-roll shots of the setting.
Yeah.
You really
and
felt the
they
fact they
really-
were in a real boxing
Yeah,
gym.
they're like, let's use the setting as much
you
as
really
possible.
felt the boxing gym
While
element of
last
that.
call, I feel like, the setting, the train station setting wasn't used to its best capabilities
Mhm.
when you could have easily filmed that setting, that scene in another place,
That's a
like
good point.
like a different
Yeah,
bench.
that's a really good point. They should have. A setting is
yeah.
being used to its best capabilities when you cannot possibly film it
Yeah.
anywhere else.
And like you said, James, I feel like the mother's acting was tonally different to the others, which is what makes it stand out. It's like if you had you put up the Before Sunset example, but I put like Eternal Spotlight of Sunshine, that film. It's like if Jim Carrey brought mask kind of acting
valid.
in that serious tone of a film,
Yeah,
which gives like
tonal whiplash.
it gives
It's kind of like
it
if
shows
The
the
Rock was in a
contrast.
Quentin Tarantino movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shows that contrast. It's like if
Mm.
the whole movie is red and one person's green, it's
You can
hard,
only focus on the fact that
it's
there's a
hard
green
to-
actor in there.
it's hard to
Look past.
look past.
No,
which,
yeah, 100%.
But
But
you guys
that is
said,
the
it's-
only
it
problem I
sucks,
have with
but
that film.
I think they did great. Set design wise, also in the house. It
Oh,
was,
the house was lovely. Really, really well
lovely.
lit. Really,
Well
really well
done.
lit.
yeah, the best part of that movie is on the house, because that's where you see them at their best.
Agreed.
The crew's best. But yeah, that was my thoughts on Last Call.
Agreed. Should we wait for?
Should I go
We could
my
just say number 7.
number 7?
Yeah, Phil got you go.
Well,
Your
number 7's a
7.
new one we haven't talked about. Mine is Politics 101.
Same.
That's Billy's as well.
So Politics 101, for a crew that had really dire consequences that
They had loads
happened.
of
They,
problems.
Oh, it was the It's like
Out
if you
of-
weren't in second year BSU
out
FTV.
of all the crews, these crews struggled the most.
Oh, Fred's back.
Fred, we're going number
Fred, we're going on number 7 real quick, and then you'll go to do.
Yeah,
8 and 7.
but
We're on. Billy and Phil got the same number 7.
Politics 101.
Politics
But
101.
as the
Is that your number 7 or? If it's your number 7, because it's not my number 7.
But
That's
yeah,
all I'm
that
saying.
crew struggled, had the worst struggles, and
Every
but
week
even,
you'd find out something new about the
and
Politics
even
101 crew.
then they made quite an amazing film with the resources they've done. I think, unlike Last Call, the best thing that stand out for them is their actor.
Yeah.
Their main actor.
That was a last minute recast.
Yes.
It was that actor didn't show, and they
And
said, "Harry, can you be the main guy?"
And he perfectly gives the perfect tone to it. It's like Jim, like
It's Jim Carrey in the mask.
it's like perfect casting, like Jim Carrey with the mask. He really fits in that comedy
It
space.
felt like the role was written for him.
Yeah,
it
was
feels like the
so
role was
good.
written for him.
I think, and Politics 101 exceeds in comedic timing and comedic framing.
Yeah.
The best way they the best way they do Politics 101 is when they do the back and back shot of the scene.
Oh god, just drew Fred's coffee across the
Well
room.
done, you. Now you got to clean that up.
Okay, you also got to censor that.
We're gonna
word.
censor that in the edit.
But yeah, Politics 101, generally a good comedy. That back and forth shot when the camera pans from
Oh, yeah, the
Harry
comedy's
to the
Brilliant.
other actor
It was shot
is shot
fantastic.
really well, and
I'm gonna
yeah.
come back to that. to my
punchlines and
thoughts.
setups are really
Can
well
I
done too.
I'll
say
come back to that.
Yeah,
when-
Billy.
Are you done, Vilgo? Or you got
Yeah, I'm
anything
done.
else? Okay.
I'm done.
I agree with you for the most part. The reason it's not low on my list, but lower down than it probably should be, is because I think the highest point of that movie is the comedy, and then that's sort of where it stops for me. I don't think the plot's that good. The cinematography is it's good. It's like it just doesn't stick out as like amazing.
Fair.
The sound's fine. I didn't notice anything like stand out with the sound either. The whole movie's just fine, but the
Yeah.
comedy is the best part by a mile, and that's
Yes.
I think
Valid.
mainly down to the scriptwriter, but also Harry Woodison. If it was any other person but Harry Woodison, it wouldn't have, I don't know, landed as well as it
Yeah.
did.
No, yeah.
Agreed.
And that's why it's kind of low down, because Harry Woodson kind of saved it from my perspective.
But at the same time, I've got it pretty high up
You
I got it
pretty
quite
high.
high.
because
got it.
I think the thing is, what the most important thing about a film is how well it communicates the story
Yeah.
and the emotions to the audience.
I
as
just
well.
thought the story was kind of meh, but it had an occasional
That's
funny
the thing,
moment.
because the thing is that the story was it was
Yeah.
aight, but like the comedy was really there,
Yeah.
and it really worked well with the story
Yeah.
that it was trying to tell, and that's why I've got it a bit more higher up than others, because a lot of what these people have problems with in their stories, they're all so caught up in the process of the filmmaking that they don't actually think about how the audience is going to perceive it, right? And they're all like, we'll have this shot, we'll have that shot. An audience member does not give a fuck about
Yeah.
the shot. They
True.
care about
As
what
long as
the
it
story
looks
is.
all right, they're not gonna care.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So
then
like
also
that's the thing
to
with
counter that,
yeah.
if it looks amazing, they're gonna really notice. Wow, that's a really cool shot. But that's what I
That
felt
depends.
they did. I know, obviously, it's not suited to this movie per se. But this is also what this movie lacked: is it didn't have a standout shot that was that good,
Yeah.
other than the one shot where it showed the back of Harry Woodison
Mm.
and the person making it look like they're about to give head to the person. Someone walks in.
What a
That was
standout
the
shot.
only good shot because it really heightened the comedy.
It was
of the
it was
scene.
for me. It was the shot of the camera panning to the woman walking in.
Yeah.
It's out of focus and then it turns in focus. It really shows just like the chaos of the situation. I thought that was a really really well done edit.
But as it's filmed in Commons, it feels like there's very little
I'm
ambition
gonna
with.
I'm gonna come back to
with the
Politics
film,
101
as well
in a
as
moment
there's
after this.
there's no chance to have
I
a
think-
cool shot because
well,
of how shit the location.
Them filming at Commons wasn't really, that was out of their control.
Yeah, to be fair.
But you know,
I'm going to come back to Politics 101 in a bit, but
My
my number 8.
yeah.
Oh, is it number 8 or number 7?
No,
Sorry, it's number
number
7,
seven.
isn't it?
7.
Is it Insignia?
Same.
Is it?
It is.
Okay. I think it's just like I don't know if you agree with me on this one, but it's like the way it was shot
Yeah.
looks lovely. The sound design, lovely. The direction, brilliant. There was just too much to tackle in 6 minutes. Like you had the element of the fact that you've got the woman with the car crash in her guilt over that. You got the murder mystery. You got the thriller aspect. You got the fact that the kills, everything. Set design and the production design looked amazing. They really when that opening shot of the woman looking in the house with all of the people coming out in their suits, brilliant. You cannot tell a compelling murder mystery on top of a guilt story in 6 minutes.
Okay,
That's
seeing as
absurd.
this is already stuff that we've sort of covered already, can we, speed up slightly just because
We're
we're
already-
37
We're
minutes
40
in.
minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
just like my
chill.
30
Just
second
really
thoughts. Yeah.
quick.
All I
Agreed.
got to say about Insignia is basically writing is like, particularly for the director like Oliver Jude's writing is everything,
Mm.
right? Because you could end up with a really cool looking film, but if the writing is shit, like lines such as "It was an accident."
that was actually good.
I
call,
don't-
though.
No, it
I,
fucking was.
no, I like that.
It was kind of funny.
It was stupid.
Probably not needed in a series.
It wasn't needed,
like
but
in the
I also
middle of a
liked it.
scene, like he was trying to be cryptic.
Yeah.
And it just was not cryptic at
Mm.
all.
I
It
think
was
if she
like
didn't-
so on the nose.
If she didn't make the sound effects for it and just did it and then dropped
If we
it
just
off,
saw the
and
car.
you just did like a loud bang when it drops, that would have
That would have been
that would have
great.
been a lot better in
Mm.
my opinion.
Insignia, great. I thought it was a great movie, great team. Or the team were firing on all cylinders in a lot of departments, but there was just too much to handle in 6 minutes.
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
the
gonna go
main
straight
issue.
to number 6 real quick because it's literally
Yes.
just what you guys were talking about.
Yeah, number
So I'll be like
6.
2 minutes on this one. Is Politics 101 because basically what you said, the comedy was very effective. It was a story that could be told in 6 minutes. It was an easy, brief story. Followed the brief perfectly. 6 minutes, snappy like that, and a lot of fun in that regard. The improvement from the Vimeo review to the
Yeah.
final cut, second to none. Everything was improved. It was like
Agreed.
in the Vimeo review, I thought they kind of went overboard with Harry's effing and jeffing and stuff. They really cut it down in the final cut, and it's all the better
It's
for it.
nicely
Because
balanced now.
every time he says fuck, it really highlights it instead of it just being an eye roll moment. But the reason it's kind of almost low down on this one is, and if this makes any sense, it feels like a student film.
Yeah.
You can, I know that it's supposed to be filmed in
That was my
in
point.
Commons, and it kind of worked in certain elements, like in the office room, it
Yeah.
it worked really well. It's like when he's walking through the revolving doors, or when he's
Yeah.
doing the press conference and there's 5 people in what is very clearly a classroom with a projector. You can tell it was filmed in Commons, and it just very much felt like a student film. But I also imagine that that's a problem that is hard to overcome, so I can't bash him too much. And I'm rating it quite highly because it was incredibly funny, incredibly well performed, and I just thought, yeah, it was a good film. It felt a
Yeah.
bit student filmish, which it is a student film, so I can't bash it too
It
much
did
for that
just
one.
seem like it lacked a bit of ambition.
But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all I really have to add to Politics 101. All the praise that you guys gave it, I second.
Do you know what my number 6 is?
What's that?
Audition?
Yeah.
Hey, same.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I've
I've got that one a little bit higher.
I put it there because it's not color graded very well, in my opinion. Right? The grade could have been better, particularly for a film that's supposed to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
All they did to it, I feel like, is they just white balanced
Yeah,
it.
it just
and
seemed
that
a
was
bit more grey.
Yeah, it was just not. It was like all they'd done is just done the color correction, didn't do any actual any color to it. Where it's a film that's visually striking, and you need to add color to it.
Mm.
You know, and this is obviously stuff that Seb needs to learn and things like that. But that Seb's, it's hard to know what he's like to work with because I've heard a mixture of things about him. You know, so it's like, "Ooh," but like.
Yeah.
Whenever I speak to him, like, he's very lovely and he's a very nice bloke. And he was telling me about the composer that they got. as
The Hollywood
well.
composer.
Yeah, Mauricio. And Mauricio is looking for work.
Ah.
So basically, I may get in contact with him
Yeah,
soon.
you
But
should.
anyways,
Good.
the point that I'm trying to say is that they did a really, really good job with kind of the blocking in it. The blocking was very good. That was the one thing I said all the way throughout the Vimeo review. I really like the blocking.
Very nicely blocked.
Oh,
I
it was
agree.
brilliantly blocked.
The writing in the Vimeo review was a bit, but then when it got to the final cut, the writing was actually quite decent. I didn't mind that.
Ah.
It's just the main reason why I've ranked it lower than, I feel like it should be, is I feel like the idea is just a bit shit.
I actually kind of agree with
like
that.
it's just so like tropey horror, but like the thing is that it's just not really horrific like at all. Like if you're gonna do horror, you gotta go all in. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
if you're gonna make a disturbing horror film, you want to make it as disturbing as you can, where you're sat there thinking to yourself, can I really show an audience this? You know,
Mm.
not let's make this because it'll look cool. It's like, no, if you're gonna make a horror movie, don't just stop mirroring Black Swan, okay? 'Cause,
Fair.
like,
I was about to
was-
say that.
It was.
yeah.
It did
there's already
seem like it
movies
took a lot
that
of reference
it's
from that.
it's not.
Yeah.
It lacks in originality because there's already 2 movies that
I don't
have
think you
done it
should
better.
Perfect
critique-
Blue and Black Swan.
I don't think you
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
critique originality because I think
Yes. I feel
nothing's
like
really
yes.
original these days.
Yeah, but it
No,
doesn't. Yeah,
that's not
no,
true.
I don't think. I
It's
think
how you
this
mix
one
it.
it doesn't stand out.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah,
It's how you
but
mix the ideas.
But
That's
yeah,
what makes it
okay,
original.
I do agree with that. But then you can't just say because ours is very similar to The Office or something like that. You
That's in
can't-
style though.
I know,
Yeah,
I-
no fair.
yeah,
It's
but it's-
similar, but
Okay,
not
hang on.
at all.
I know,
Yeah,
okay, but
yeah,
you,
sorry,
Continue.
yeah.
but there's obviously unfortunately, whatever film you're gonna make, it's gonna be similar to something. Is all I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. So don't just say it's not original because
No, we're
none
not
of
saying
the
it's not
films are
original. There is some originality. I think it's too similar to what it's
Okay.
Fair.
trying to take from. That's what.
Yeah,
We're saying.
and
What-
it
yeah.
just kind of feels like a shell of what the thing they're taking. from
Okay, I
is.
kind of
Yeah.
get what you're saying. Yeah.
And
That's what we're saying.
I feel like, some of the plot points just kind of don't really make sense, and things like that. And the ambiguity is not like scary ambiguity, like cosmic horror or anything. Like, oh, how does this ghost work and all that? I'm not even sure if it's a ghost, right? We're just left sort of confused by the end of it.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, there's
just
a bit of
what
mystery
the
in it.
fuck did we watch?
Well, that's
you know?
kind of a good thing. Maybe that's what they're going for.
Maybe if
Yeah.
that is what they're going for, that's great. But I just sort of left it, just sort of like, bro, what was that? You know. But the
Well,
thing
fair
is
enough.
that what I feel like with Seb is a person who, if he gets a very cool original idea under his belt, he'll make something very cool.
Mm.
But for the time being, the film that he made was just too similar to
What he
you
was
know,
taking from.
what he was
Understandable.
taking from,
Yeah.
and it just was a little bit like, you know,
Really?
it wasn't
Any
for
guy?
me.
I'm just gonna really quickly say my high points and a couple low points, maybe if I could think of any. Basically, really good visual style. I
Oh
loved
my
it.
god,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of the
Very-
reasons. I
very
got this
clever.
one a little bit higher, and the
Same.
visual style is mostly to thank because of how good it
I
looks.
think I really like the idea of it. I think they could have captured it a bit better. Like there were some really cool scenes where the second the person appears in that room with the other dead body. I thought that was very clever. They referenced a scene that they used previously. Very
Mm.
clever. I like that. But then some of the bits were I wish they captured it a bit better. Like the what was it when he said your height and all that when you're being interviewed. I thought
Oh, yeah.
they
Yeah.
could have captured that a bit better the second time round. But
Yeah.
anyway, really good movie. I just wish it had a bit more ambition in some areas.
enough.
That's all.
Phil, what's your this is number 6, right? Or is this-
yes.
yeah, number six. What's your number six?
Mine is Insignia. I think you guys hit the mark with.
Yeah,
Two-
just be
yeah,
swift
yeah.
because we're 45
If
minutes in.
we've already talked about the film, just be quite quick.
It's fine
that's-
if we go over 1 hour.
Yeah, no,
So-
I'm just
but
saying.
yeah, it's like you said, it packed too much for what it can do. I think one thing you guys didn't mention, which another film did good, was it convinced me of the transitions of aspect ratio.
Yes, actually.
Usually, I
mm.
would think those kind of transitions work
Yeah, that's true.
perfectly if it's an instant cut, but having those back bars slowly transition, especially when the first transition to the void, it was one of the movies that convinced. Oh yeah, that style actually works, and actually it works well because it immerses you nicely
Yeah,
into the
entirely.
void. But yeah,
The
like you
switch
said,
for aspect
blocking
ratio is
was great.
brilliant.
You know, good idea, but too much for 6 minutes. And
Yeah.
that's all.
No, fair.
My 5 was
Six.
politics. I'm on 5.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
but
Did you
we
say
move-
6?
I've done
Yeah.
my 6,
Yeah.
politics 101.
So we're on 5
my
now.
my 5 was politics 101.
Mm.
I've already kind of said what I want to say.
Okay.
about
Fair enough.
That's
Yeah.
good.
that. So yeah, what's everyone else's 5?
I want you guys to go first because my 5
We've
is
already said mine.
my 5 is a new one.
All right, have you
My
we
5 is a new
All right,
one
then
too.
I'll just quickly say I think you guys are a bit too overcritical for the last call.
Yeah.
I think the
enough.
actors
Fair
Okay.
enough.
shit
Fair enough.
ish. I'm not gonna say shit, but she wasn't brilliant. She kind of took me out a bit. But
Yeah.
I was really trying to focus on everything else because it's unfair to take away from everyone's really hard work
Yeah.
just from an actor's fault, which isn't really their fault. Anyway, I thought that the location was brilliant, really ambitious. I love that they used the train station. Really cool. Some of the shots were really nice and clever. The inside scene you've already said, really good. The blocking on that was fantastic. I loved the way they enter that next room and it stays on the same shot throughout. Really clever. And yeah, the other actors were really good.
Yes.
We didn't talk about that enough, I
The
don't
other
think.
two
The
actors
other two were
really
really,
did well.
really good. But you guys, the one thing you guys didn't say negative about it, that is one of my negatives, is Dylan's writing is really good, but he does use some really fancy words. That's not really how people speak, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like the day-to-day person doesn't say whatever they said, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
Can't think
Like-
of
like
one.
Don't
I
run from the
envy
pain.
you.
It'll only make you stronger.
No, that's not that bad, but like,
No.
Like
they just
I
they
I've
use some
never
really
had a
fancy
mate
words.
ever say that to me after like
Okay,
some
But
shit
true.
that's
down,
because
you know.
We're
maybe
not
that-
really those type of people. I
Yeah.
suppose,
Yeah, to
but-
be fair,
But
actually.
I've never heard Dylan say that either.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
It's like really, really fancy words I can't think of off the top of my
Every
head.
time I see Dylan, he goes, "Oh yeah, Fred, you cunt." Like,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
ever
like the opposite
see
of how he
him-
speaks, isn't it?
Yeah, I never hear him say like, you know, like.
He doesn't speak that formal.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I
other than that,
envy you
good,
and all
Yeah.
this sort of
really
shit.
good movie, and I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah,
it's a
fair
shame
enough.
with the actor. That's all.
Well,
Right.
I'll let you go first.
Number 5 is How to Rob a Bank.
Oh,
Billy and James's film.
This is a film me and Billy worked on,
Yes.
so Number 5 is harsh. So,
So
Number 5 is very harsh. in my
That is
opinion.
quite harsh. But yeah.
Nah,
go on.
I've
okay,
to-
well,
there's no
How to Rob
at this
a
point.
Bank.
We said this on the bus. At this point, and I'm just gonna put it out now because I
We're
was gonna do
splitting
it on mine.
hairs.
At this
this
point,
is the splitting.
this
hairs
is you really
area.
gotta try and stretch to rank.
How to
it.
Rob a
These are all
Bank
good.
is a good film. I think you've really captured the genre that you really wanted to do. It feels like a mockumentary. It really puts that point across. I think you had great comedy points. For example, when first time your actor Hugo Worrell pops up, he made the whole theater laugh. That
Mm.
beginning scene, it's a nice. You guys introduce your characters really well and introduce the plot really well in that beginning. I think you guys really. I think I like that you guys really leaned in a lot in the comedy. You know, I feel like if some people, like for example, the car being like dressed up as like with the eyelashes and stuff, I really like that. I know you had some hiccups, but those hiccups aren't really, like for example, ADR. You didn't really notice it.
Mm.
If you really focused, you would notice.
At
But
the-
you
I
only
wasn't-
notice it if
if
you
you
know
didn't
where to
know,
look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If you knew it,
Yeah.
at one point you can see it, but mostly it
I
was
didn't notice it, but
you didn't notice
Thank
it.
you. You only notice it if you know where to look and
Yeah,
you're really looking for
Yeah,
it.
but despite those hiccups, you did really well. I think pacing wise, yours was quite well paced. The bank scene was done really well. Blocking wise was
I think that's
really
the
well.
definite highlight of the film. in my
It was the
opinion.
definite
Agreed.
highlight.
Mm.
But my cons of the film is, well, this is probably because because it's my perspective. Is sometimes I found it distracting because my friends and I'm in it,
No, of
so
course.
it kind
Fair
of
enough.
takes me out of the
No,
story.
fair enough.
But that's like the major con. I think same thing. You like Politics on One. You guys did really well in comedic timing with your cuts and edits and edit to reactions. But yeah, I think you guys did a solid job. I think that con for me was just a very big one.
And
Okay.
it just
Totally
sort of
fine.
shows that all of these next ones are really close. If
Yeah, they're
that's
really
the
close. Yeah,
problem for you, I,
I
see.
didn't. Yeah,
No,
I
yeah,
didn't
that's
really
fair.
have a big
That's
con.
fair.
I think also it shows in your one you also had a lot of effort in it.
Mm.
For example, the joke with Fred remaking the Billy Mason song, or
Oh, yeah.
and credit to Taya who did an amazing job,
Oh my god, Taya's
with
production
set
design is
design,
amazing.
especially with the bank.
Yeah, this is the main thing I will say about the negative side of our film is I feel like ours unfortunately did lack some ambition
Yes.
with the location because
Location wise, yours isn't. The
I
most,
disagree. I think we had to use commons. I think the fact that
Yeah,
we I think it's like Politics 101 uses commons, but you can tell it's commons.
Yeah.
We use commons, but you
You
almost
couldn't
can't
tell.
tell
Yeah.
it's commons.
location wise, it's
I
not
just-
as ambitious as the other films.
Mm.
I wished we just tried to use
But-
somewhere else. You know what I
Fair.
mean?
No, yeah.
But
fair.
Billy, I feel like
I've-
because you
I
weren't as
disagree.
ambitious as you were, it made you focus more on what you had.
I
Yeah.
also think
Because-
if we'd have gone ambitious and if we'd have gone with a different location, we wouldn't have been able to reshoot,
True.
Yes.
and the film would have gone
Yes.
way down.
it
For
would
that.
have
That
been.
would
It
have
would have
been.
complicated things.
That would have been a bad
And
film.
it also
Yeah.
might not have fit into the genre as well because
Yeah.
it's a mockumentary. It's not meant to be like the most serious thing anyway.
Yes.
No, yeah, fair.
And all mockumentaries are filmed in like an office anyway.
But
Yeah, yeah.
you guys did well. It was a solid job.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with my number 5, and again, this is at this point, all of these films for me are interchangeable. If you move any of these up or down, I've got no quarrels with that. These at this point, this is the one where it's all interchangeable, and where I have to rank them is really hard because they could all be as good as each other. And I'm only saying that because my number 5 is Canned.
Okay.
And again, this is a good movie. The edit of that film is incredible. The way that it looked in the blog. Listen to me.
Yeah.
Listen to me. The way it looked was incredible. Like when the Baron says, "Oh, I cut him up and I heard it tastes like pork," or when Harry says that to the Baron,
Yeah.
and then Jack cut to the visuals of like the pork being cut up.
Yeah.
That like creeped me out. I was like, that's a brilliant cut. I just thought, and yeah, this is just completely pulling it here. I just thought, I don't really have much bad to say, but I just think it looked really nice, sounded quite nice too. I just think at certain points, there's not really much I can knock about it. To be honest, there
Just
isn't.
be honest.
There
mate.
is
What's
not.
The reason
There is
why?
not much I can knock about it. I just thought that the other ones were maybe a bit more ambitious, or
More
like
better.
you
Okay.
did. Like I won't say did more, but like this one, you filmed the interview perfectly. The interview was done really well. Gave a really eerie feel to it.
Yeah.
But then, in the way we saw inside the Baron's head was really effective. But it was like, it was still quite clearly you could tell it wasn't filmed by you, if that makes any sense. When it goes into the Baron's head and we see the police tape and the sirens and the pigs
Yeah.
and stuff,
But I don't think
you
that's
can
a bad
tell it's
thing.
not filmed by you. And it's not necessarily
not
a bad thing. It's not
But
necessarily a
it kind
bad
of takes
thing.
you out.
But it sort of takes
if
you a
you
look back.
personally feel that's something you don't like,
I-
just say you don't like it.
I,
and
I,
that's
I'm not
fair.
saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying personally, I think that was
Yeah.
something
That's
I
true.
noticed. And like at the end with the bloods, it's quite clearly fake blood. On
Yeah.
the, like you can tell
I know what you mean.
it's ketchup on a phone.
Yeah.
But
Can I just say, I think that's a completely valid way of looking at it.
mm,
But on the other hand, I think that's really, really useful to make you creeped out. I think it's really useful to put you in the atmosphere that they're trying to go
immersion.
for.
Oh,
I
fair
think
enough.
it's very clever in that respect, and
Yeah.
it really works well with the sound design.
Yeah.
the sound design was fantastic.
They work hand in hand.
And the ending with it coming out of the VHS tab, that felt like the ending of a film. Like that felt like you could watch it at the cinema. So
Yeah.
this is not me bashing Cannes. This is me saying everything from this point you can
Yeah,
rank
and that's
how
so
I can.
fair.
I will change these rankings by the day because Cannes was a good movie. I just
Yeah.
thought that whilst you filmed the interview really well, Rohan's performance was genius casting. Like that was a fantastic choice to play the Baron. I just thought that the other ones,
Yeah.
just like resonated with me a little bit more.
Mm.
But that's not a knock on Cannes. That is me saying everything from this point on is a fantastic movie. If that makes any sense.
Mm.
Number 4, or number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, number 4.
I'll go on number 4 because it's one where you already brought up.
I've already brought up my number 4.
Audition.
Yeah, same,
I
same.
think this one thing I want to give Audition is sound design. Was
Yeah,
really
I was
good.
going to mention the sound design.
The score was good. Also, shout out to Izzy who did the sound design.
Yeah,
But
sound design
I
was
think
really
one
good.
thing Audition really did well was with its sound design, scoring and sound design. It
Oh,
did
yeah, the sound-
immerse
sound
you.
was really
It did immerse
The
you
mer- it
really
was
well
Very
with
immersive.
the
I
sound
just,
design.
Mm.
But it immersed you into a world that didn't really push as much as it could have.
oh, fair enough.
Like you guys said, it was good horror, but not horror enough.
I also think with the audition, I liked the fact that a lot was not explained because
Yes.
it puts you in the shoes of the character.
Yeah.
Like the character's gone to this audition and this guy's kind of like,
It
he's clearly something not
Audition
human.
exceeds at showing, not telling.
Yes. And it was the only film which had convincing blood effects on Hugo's forehead, that massive cut on Hugo's forehead.
That was,
It was
really
the
good.
It was the only film that had like a sense of gore or violence where you could almost
Yeah.
feel that feels real. And like all of the callbacks and how it all ties together at the end. The character, I just thought, in the way it looked, the way it sounded, it was incredibly ambitious, told an interesting story that had me guessing throughout and had me like,
Yeah.
okay, what's going on here then? I thought was a really, really well told film. And I think it's one of the first films here I can say,
Yeah.
as well as like, this is a positive with Canned as well, is it works with 6 minutes.
Yes.
6 minutes is a nice length.
I also want to say the beginning of the film is really well, having that dream sequence and then cutting to that slow pan in the dance with all the
Oh, yeah.
dancers. and
They
just
use
her
the
looking at-
locations
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
wonderfully.
that,
That
actually.
beginning
was
Wonderfully.
really
is
That was
wonder-
good,
and
yeah,
with
I
the
did like that.
score, it's a nice slow.
It's a wonderfully,
immersion.
wonderfully made,
I think
well
we
made
can all
film.
agree the music or the score,
Yeah.
whatever, is like the best
The-
out of everyone.
I
out
A
of all the,
wonderfully
out of all the
well-made film.
scores, Audition has one of the
The
best
sound
scores.
design's just fantastic.
I
And-
gotta give
yeah.
Audition number 4,
Give him
so
props.
I'm
Yeah,
yeah,
gonna
Audition.
sure.
that's so fair. I didn't
Audition
even think about
at
that.
number 4.
I kind of regret putting it so low on my
Alright.
list now.
But
I gotta, yeah.
Lee,
so-
Fred, what's your 4?
You want to go first?
My
Fred?
4. Okay.
Yeah.
My number 4 is bringing
Oh,
sexy
same.
back.
Oh, really?
This is my film.
Big up Vilgot. I'm gonna come back to Sex
we-
Back. So mine
I-
is like absurd. Like, mine is surprisingly high.
So, bringing sexy back.
Yes.
Personally, the humour works well in it, but
Mhm.
only after a certain point, and that's when Tommy comes in.
Valid
right?
actually.
That's why it's at number 4.
Yeah.
If it was funny all the way throughout, the dialogue between her and the best mate is just not funny. It's timed badly.
It's
it
also
makes no
it kind
sense.
of makes me cringe a little bit.
And the thing
Maybe that's what
is
you're
that
going
they
for.
every time I bring this up to Charlie and Ellie, they always go, "Well, it's a stylistic thing." It's because
Yeah.
Yeah.
never mind that. All right, it's just not funny. Like and that's just my
It's quite
personal
hard to
opinion.
watch in some
Exactly.
places.
And the thing is that whether or not they want to take that on board is up to them.
Yeah.
That's fine. All right.
Yep.
And if they still will stand by the fact that's a stylistic thing, completely fine.
It's their
That's
film,
chilling.
and
That's
they
their
do the
film,
film.
and
the way
they
do
made it their way, and I'm happy for them for that. But personally, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And it just sort of like makes the first 2 minutes a bit of a slog, kind of like when you're watching a series and you have to get through the first
Yeah.
few
And
episodes.
Yeah.
first couple
No, yeah.
episodes are always tough to
And-
watch.
But
yeah.
like the 4 minutes of the film that's actually really good is very funny. It works really well.
And it kind of makes
the
you forget
slapstick
about that
humor
first 2 minutes.
is that they had
Mm.
slapstick humor in it, which was really good with like
Mm.
the teas and stuff.
Yeah.
And set design was really really
Yeah,
good.
that's my highest
Yeah.
point of the movie, I think, is the set design.
Yeah.
And that's not me
Yeah, because
complimenting my friend.
that's my
but
department.
it's just it really stood out, and it really made it feel
Oh,
like
it felt
The
like the
blood
2000s.
effects
Yeah.
was really really good. I really like the blood effects. and
Yeah.
where they
Oh yeah,
stuff them in.
When you-
what was the character
When
called?
Tommy gets hit by the brick, you felt
You
it.
can see the dust coming up. and
It
everything.
was
That
a
very cool.
really, really well done there. But I'm gonna come
Yeah.
back to my glazing of sexy back in a bit.
Yeah. The only thing I wish they did with the blood stuff, I feel like they could have just extended that a little bit longer, where they just had a head-on shot of the blood coming out of him.
Yeah,
like
they
that.
sort of cut
Because
away
we
from
only
it quite
we only
quickly.
got that like a side-on shot.
Yeah.
Because if you just had a cut where you just saw the
Not invalidating your point. I'm just giving an explanation. We could have done that shot only once for costume reasons.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
valid.
so fair.
Once blood is on there, it's on
difficult
there.
to get off.
So-
No, yeah.
So that's why we could.
I thought you could still see the blood.
You
I
could
thought
see
you
it
could still
I mean,
clearly.
if
I
you-
just
if
wish
you
there was
have
more
it
focus
just
on it.
still pouring though.
No, we can only do one take, and that was that one take. So, but I agree. Maybe it could have shot. been
Maybe
shot.
all right then. If in that case, I feel like I would have still done it like head
Yeah.
on. So like a close up head on. and
Yeah.
it pans up and he like looks down like that.
Yeah.
That would have been really cool because then you would have seen the gore a little bit more. But that's just like
Yeah.
a personal little
Yeah.
nitpick there. But
I get that.
yeah, no, the first 2 minutes is just like
Mm.
mate, nah. But like the rest of it is really really good. It's really funny, works really well. The VTs in it as well at the end. VTs. fucking hell.
VTs, you mean the
The
after
credits. The
The
credits
credits.
The
work
after
really
credit
well.
scene was good. Before you two say your next one, I'm just gonna say my opinions on bringing sex back.
That's
to
your number
reality.
3, isn't it?
Because it's also my number 3. It's basically the only negatives I have is exactly what Fred just said about the first 2 minutes.
Mm.
But then there's one really small nitpick which I pointed out to Vilgot the other day. It's where this bit where Tommy is walking out, and when the girl's on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really cool shot. It's probably one of my favorites. It like shows him towering over the girl, and I thought that was really clever. But they cut away from it so quickly, and I wish they just stayed on it for like
being the
2 more seconds longer.
Yeah.
Also, and that would have, to me, made that movie so much better. Like just that, even that little small detail would have added
I've got
so much to me.
One nitpick for the sexy back as well. One nitpick which stops it from being like maybe my favorite one, and this is how close everything in this top bracket of films is you get the really cool effect of the woman bashing the skull in of the guy, and then the shot's next
Yeah.
and he's still mogging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that too.
That is
I
the-
love that.
That is
I
the
bet that
one
I-
nitpick I have with that
I
film.
agree
Those-
Is she's
there, that
bashing
was
his
like-
face and blood splattering everywhere. Cuts away and he's just mogging
Yeah.
on the floor, and that is like
His face
one
is the same stuff.
tiny
Yeah.
nitpick.
Those
I have.
nitpicks to me, honestly, stop it being in the top 3. That like it could have easily been in the top 3. But
Had it not been for those nitpicks,
Yeah.
and this is a little spoiler for the rest of my list, had it not been for those nitpicks, Sexy Bag would have been number 1.
All right.
oh, you changed yours.
Okay.
Yeah, I've changed.
I did-
Literally, I've changed my list listening to you
yeah,
guys.
Same. I've done the same.
Listening to you guys, I've changed my list and
It's just
changed
the
number
first
1
2
and 2.
minutes, unfortunately.
Yeah. So we're on number 3.
Yeah, we're on number 3.
Well, since we're talking about bringing sexy back, my number 3 is bringing sexy back. Yeah, I'm proud of what we made. I'm actually surprised that a lot of people liked it.
Oh, really?
As much as they did. I think we did a really well done in combining those two genre, which is horror and that girl.
You did
pop,
actually, yeah. Comedy horror.
genre. And that was such a. It's not as that was such a bold change we did. Which
It didn't feel like we're in a different genre.
No.
It felt natural progression.
Yeah, like because before bringing Sexy Act, we had just the horror element, but bringing that girl pop element made it better.
The rebrand is
Yeah.
the best decision anyone on this chorus
Yeah,
has
which we
made
did.
all year. It was rebranding to.
but
to
yeah, it
It
Sexy
would have been
Back.
cool if they let the crew know.
It would have been
no,
very
they did tell us before.
Did
So-
they?
Yeah, they did.
Oh.
I think it's the best
possible.
possible thing
And we were on board with it, obviously.
that you guys could have done
fair
was
enough.
that rebrand, and
But,
it helps so much.
I agree with you guys. The first 2 minutes is slow.
But it's kind of needed as well.
I
it's
agree. That's
needed-
why it's not bogging it down
it's
for
needed
me.
because it's
It lure-
character building for the main.
It lures you into a
character.
false sense of security. You're watching it and you
Yes.
think, okay, we're just going to watch a
Yeah, it's
dumb girly pop
Yeah.
movie.
It's like
And
Mean
then the
Girls.
zombie turns up and it's
Yeah.
that tonal whiplash.
It's
You need that
You need that
awkward
to subvert the
girl
expectation.
comedy.
But then I feel like I do really
Girl
agree
film
with
comedy.
that. I
Yeah.
just wish it was a bit
Bit-
shorter.
I
and
get
a,
it.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
a bit more like.
I liked it.
easier
I
to
thought it was a
watch.
good length. I thought you needed that length
Okay.
for it
that's
to
fair
be.
enough.
This is just a personal opinion, and I
Uh,
understand it. It's a personal
Yeah,
opinion.
but the beginning, I agree with you guys. It could have been. It was a little bit slow.
Yeah.
There was one cut that I didn't fully agree with, but I know why it was made. I think production design wise, yeah, it was a good job. I love playing with the blood was fun. I think that was the most ambitious part in our film. We used those kind of practical effects.
Swamp Izzo!
Swamp Izzo.
Swamp Izzo was
Swamp
in it.
Izzo was in it.
He
was
plays.
in it.
He's the cameraman. It was good.
Yeah.
That's why he never died.
Yeah, so he died. Shot wise, I think it was well shot. Jack Collins, main
He's a
actor,
really good part.
Oh, he was
He-
good. He was
So
really good.
really
Yeah.
good.
It was the
as
fact he's so tall as well. It helped. It
was
it
so
gave him such a
scary.
towering presence in the
the
film.
chemistry between
Frankenstein.
the two actors was really well. His deadpan and her over the top girl pop.
Yeah.
I think it worked really well. But yeah,
Swamp Izzo.
I'm proud of what we made.
Yeah, rightfully so.
There
It's a
are
good film.
some stuff that I wish could be better, but
What
you
would
know.
you change if you could do it again?
well, I think one cut was weird. Was you had the split screen and then it fade and cuts.
Yeah,
to the,
to her picking up the,
no, it fade and cuts to the candle.
and then
but-
it goes
Oh,
back to the
yeah.
split screen.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That sort of took me out of
Yeah,
it. a
and,
I
little.
know why it was made though.
same,
Jack
same.
O'Connor.
Jack O'Connor originally was gonna do. He was gonna change the split screen into 3, including the candle, but then our director insisted on the fade and cut,
That's
which
a bad decision.
it's yeah, because it's
I
like
can't see why they did that, to be honest.
yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of throws the
wish they
pacing
gave-
off the
it
film.
throws you out.
I
Yeah,
wish
which
they
is
gave Jack O'Connor a bit more freedom with that, to be
Yeah.
honest. with
he
you.
could have.
Yeah,
that's a
after
problem.
credits, he showed his excellence in After Effects.
Yeah,
which
Mm.
really
Oh,
good.
As
it was
we all
the
know.
credits was really
Credits are
yeah,
really
little subtle
high
thing.
quality.
It
It was the
Very
fact
good.
that the tonal shift between Brad, Justin Timberlake, and
The
then the
blood.
zombie
Yeah,
hands
the
was
blood, yeah,
really
so,
really funny. And
I think we showed the how it incorporates
I
both
can-
genres
mm.
really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. but
Swamp Izzo.
Sorry.
That was my number 3. I'm
Fair
proud
enough.
of our film.
My number 3 is my film, How Not to Rob a Bank, and I've
Mm.
put that at number 3 because I feel like I'm very very proud with what we made. I think we
Yeah.
made a really good movie, but I've got a couple of nitpicks with it. Kind of like
This is also my number 3.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, then we can double up with this one. It's a lot like why Sexy Back isn't number 1 for me. It's
Yeah.
because of how close everything is at the top. It's all just nitpicks. Like in the
Yeah.
bank scene,
What are
which
your
is
nitpicks then?
the best. Like bank. My nitpicks include the bank scene, which is one of the best scenes of the films.
Yeah.
All
It's
the
the
films,
climax
to
of
be
the
honest. And
film.
but it's like nitpicks, like the fact that in the bank, all of the tellers, except one, and all of the customers are very conveniently between the ages of 19 and 22.
Also,
Yes.
And it's very, very obvious that all of the customers are in between the ages of 19 and
Yeah.
22. And it's like, you can tell, it kind of gave it a student film
Yeah.
thing
But
for
then,
that.
But then, it kind of makes sense being a mockumentary. and
Yeah, it's a nitpick.
It is for comedy.
This is a nitpick.
But I also have a nitpick with the extras is they kind of are placed all to the right a bit, and that's perfectly fine. But there's a big gap between
In
the
the floor
tables.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
The
Yeah.
spacing of that really kind of took me
Mm.
out of it on the watch.
And it's
recently.
like for
I'll
me.
come to
Oh,
my
yeah.
How Not to Rob a Bank nitpicks
What's
in a
yours? Where'd
minute.
you put it?
I ranked it at number 2,
Oh,
but
okay.
I've got quite a few.
You've got a few.
I've-
I thought you
I'm-
ranked it a number a little bit lower.
No.
You changed it.
My
Oh, did you
number-
change it?
My number 3 is Dysfunctional.
Okay.
Oh well,
Alright,
we'll come back to that in a
we'll
sec.
come back to
Finish
that.
in a minute.
But
Let you finish.
we it's just smaller, and it's like I feel like that like the first 2 scenes just aren't as they're good, they're funny,
yeah,
and
but
they're well
not the
shot.
same quality as the bank.
But the
scene.
bank scene is so much better.
And that is a positive about the bank scene, but it's also a negative about the
Mm,
rest.
it's a
Yeah.
double-edged
In
sword.
the same
completely.
way as Tommy and Before Tommy.
Yeah, in
for
the
my
same way as
film.
It's
Sexy
like
Back.
kind of needed, but then it's also kind of annoying. I
Yeah.
know the characters are introduced well, but it's also somewhat dull as
Yeah.
well.
Mm.
I feel like we've maybe made.
I
the
felt
first
like
two
there
scenes a bit too
wasn't
long.
enough laughing in the first 2 scenes as
Yeah.
I was hoping for
Yeah.
when we were watching it
Well-
in the cinema.
What I personally think we should have done is made the first 2 scenes a bit shorter and then made the bank scene longer.
Longer.
Maybe.
That would have,
Yeah.
to me,
Mm.
made it a bit more balanced in my.
I still
opinion.
think this is like that's a nitpick in my eyes, and I still think the comedy, the acting, the set design, everything about it, I thought we didn't absolutely.
This is going to sound really blunt and rude, but I think it was the funniest one. In
No
my
fair.
opinion.
No, yeah, fair.
All
I-
right.
I
thought-
That's
sure
not blunt and
about
rude. That's your
That's,
opinion.
yeah, that's not rude.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say it. I
Yeah.
thought that the scriptwriter Lucy did a really good job with
Yeah.
the script.
I thought so too. I also
and it
think
works well with the edit.
I think what works well with it is the visual comedy element of it.
Yes.
It's Politics 101 is very funny. It has its visual elements of funny.
Yeah.
But most of the jokes rely on Harry's
think-
delivery, whereas
yeah.
How Not to Rob a Bank,
It
a
works
lot of the
well, yeah.
jokes are visual. The cut
Yes.
to you in your headphones, the cut to Oscar in the
Yes.
park, the Katie and Hugo kicking the wheel and him stubbing his toe. That's
Reaction
visual
shot of
comedy.
Elodie is,
Reaction shot of
one of the
Elodie.
funniest
Stuff
things.
like that. The way
Also
it's just
the,
visually told. Really, that's credit where credit's
the
due to our editor Louis.
In the
Fair
in the first
fucking
scene,
play.
the background stuff going on that's blurred out is still quite funny. Just
Yeah.
seeing Hugo flick.
Flick his hand out
yeah.
the way. Yeah,
I
it's-
thought that was quite funny.
I think my nitpicks are nitpicks, like the fact that the extras are distractingly young,
Mm.
or the fact that the first 2 scenes are clearly set up for the last scene, which is obviously needed, but a small nitpick.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all I really have to say about that really. And How Not to Rob a Bank at number 3. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, or whether or not you just agree.
I think you
Yeah, I agree for the main part. It's sort of, in my opinion, this is going to sound a bit stupid, but the first scene is a real, you can tell it's a mockumentary because of like the interview, what's it
Mm.
called it? The
The Talking Heads.
Talking Heads, there's loads of those, but then it loses that feel and kind of turns into a movie. And it's a good decision because it's funny and
Yeah.
it works well, but it sort of doesn't make the most sense to
I don't
me.
mind it because it's like, have you seen the movie The Big Short with Ryan
Yeah.
Gosling?
Yes.
That's
I love
got
that film.
mockumentary elements to
I
it,
didn't
but
like-
it's overall still
I
a
didn't
movie.
like that
I
movie
agree
that
with
much.
James.
I love that
You
movie.
agree?
Is-
That's fair enough. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
in my opinion, it sort of
I didn't
takes
like the
away from
movie
it.
very much. I
Also-
loved the style. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The style of that movie I loved it, but the movie as a whole I wasn't too fond of.
I'm
But
just saying we kind of lose the genre. a
but I
little bit.
also to counter argue that I'm not to argue or anything. It's just my opinion against your opinion. Is I think
Yeah,
that
that's an argument, James. But
sorry, that's a good point. It's I think that's a good stylistic choice because we tried it with the mockumentary feel in the shot in the first version we did, and it just wasn't very good.
Mm.
So I think having it start with a mockumentary and then turn into a
Yeah.
movie, it establishes the characters really well and then
Mm.
puts the audience in the action.
Yeah.
And I just think
I
that
agree,
worked really well.
And if we had a couple more minutes, we would have been able to really highlight that. But it's just it's not shown particularly well, and it's
Mm.
it's
Fair
sort of a
enough.
bit annoying in my opinion.
No, yeah, no,
That's
of course.
fair.
That's entirely a fair observation. And I do agree to some extent that the tonal consistency is scene 1 is so much more of a mockumentary than the other 2 scenes.
Mm.
That's not to say I think it was a bad decision. It's me saying, however, I do sort of agree with you on that one. So I got no problems with that.
All right,
So
that's
fair
fair
enough.
enough.
Fair enough.
Fred, you're number 3.
Dysfunctional.
Okay.
At number
interesting.
3.
Why so? Because I know this one's a very popular one.
Very nicely visually told.
Mm.
Lot of great cameos in there. Not gonna lie. The script works well for what it is, you
Yes.
know. It communicates the story really well.
Communicates the message really well.
Communicates
Yeah.
the message really well. Editing's pretty decent. Color grading's pretty good as well. But
Why number 3? Is it like another case of it's just
Nitpicking.
kind of like why Canned was lower than it is for you guys is because it's literally just the other ones just resonated more. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it didn't resonate with me too much. And the other reason why I've kind of ranked it a little bit lower is because every single year there's a new Spiking film.
Okay. No,
And
fair.
I told, I think one of the dysfunctional crew members and stuff, they go, well, they're writing from experience. And I go, yeah, that's a terrible thing to write about from experience sort of thing. Because, like, yeah, that's awful. It happens. But
Also,
it's a common experience that
that needs to
people
be
do
told,
every year.
but
It's still good to shine light on
it needs to be told.
That's
'cause
fine.
if that,
I can see both sides of
because
this.
if that thing still happens,
I
you
get what
still have to remind it happens.
Maybe it's
so-
like, I think, is it
Tell
sort
it
of like,
differently, though. That's the
yeah,
main
what you're
thing.
saying is
Yeah.
the story needs to be told, but the
I get
story
what
has
you're
been
saying.
told in that way before. No, yeah, that's
Yeah, I
entirely
get
fair.
it with-
100%.
Yeah, it's just
From a
a-
filmmaking perspective and from the
Yeah.
from the heads of filmmakers,
Yeah.
who we are,
yeah,
is that's
set
a
aside
very-
the politics of that
it's just
filmmaking was.
yeah,
Mm.
it's just the thing is that it's like having the idea that the fact that it's been told so many times,
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
and over again, right? Originality starts to seep in,
Mm.
and you're like, well, like I
Yeah.
get this is a serious subject and it's a heavy subject and all that.
That's why it's
But-
tough to talk about.
I know
Yeah.
that's why it's tough to talk about, but if we being real here,
Yeah.
right?
Also, I think none of us have gone
Yeah,
through that experience.
we've not gone through that, so keep that in mind.
We don't have the emotional connection that some people may have.
We're trying not to offend
Yeah, I
people.
guess
Yes.
we
That's
guess we
the
won't.
thought.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, no, yeah, not many.
but not
have.
saying that your opinion is
No,
valid.
no.
If
I
you're
know- I
weary of
completely
that
get that.
genre, then you're weary on that. It makes sense why it's lower on your
I get
list.
what you're saying, Fred,
Yeah,
completely.
we
No, yeah.
understand.
You have a valid
Speaking
point.
from the perspective of filmmakers,
Yeah.
entirely valid point.
Yeah,
It's just I feel like the thing is that it's a story that needs to be told, but just in a different way. That's
No, yeah,
all.
fair.
Yeah.
And the
Fair.
thing is that it's just been told the same way for
Mm.
years.
No.
So
fair.
it's a good film. It's just that's why it's at number 3.
Yeah.
Everything's really visually nice about it, very visually appeasing. It's just,
You'd have wanted the story to
There-
be told in a more
yeah.
unique
I think
yeah, it's
for you,
yeah.
you've already seen it, so you're kind of sick of it because you've seen it so much already.
Yeah.
No, yeah, fair.
Okay, fair.
Okay, should we move on to
Number
numero 2? Okay, can I do number 2 real quick? Because
Yes.
I basically have nothing to add to it.
Yeah.
It's bringing sexy back. This was on the bus. This was my number 1. But
Yeah.
just listening to you guys, it kind of, I had to move it to number 2.
Yeah.
It's literally just because some very, very small nitpicks,
Mm.
like the fact that Jack Collins, you can see his face isn't battered and bruised after
Yeah.
he's been smashed to fuck with a brick.
That
Like
made
it
me
should
laugh
be.
because I noticed that too. in the film, and
Um,
I'm like, oh my god.
Like small issues like in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Now I understand and I do agree that the first 2 minutes needed to happen in that way for that length to lure you into that false sense of security, and it makes the tonal shift even more effective. But it's like, for me, it was a very small nitpick. It's the fact that when she's on the phone, there's like a second of delay before they respond, and it's
Yes.
very clear that they filmed them on
I
2
noticed
different
that
days.
too.
It's just small stuff like that. It's like, so how are you? Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. When in reality, it'd be, how are you? Yeah, I'm doing all right. How are you? Yeah, I'm not doing like something like that. It's like, and the only reason it's at number 2 and not number 1 is because number 1 I don't have those nitpicks for. Number 1, who if you've been listening, you probably figure out what it is.
Yeah.
Is it's I just don't have those nitpicks for number 1. Whereas number 2, there's maybe 1 or 2
Yeah.
tiny things. Overall, I think I'll just wrap up in like 30 seconds. I think it's probably the most unique looking film, other than Canned. It's the most unique looking films are Canned in Bringing Sexy Back, because they are different. They tried something new and they really pulled it off out of the bag. You know what I mean? And that is something I really want to praise for them. Is
Yes.
like, credit where credit's due to Vilgar, is not a moment went past where I didn't believe fully that this film was happening in 2002 or 2003,
Which is a hard
which
job
I
to
can
do.
imagine is impossible. But
Because some props, the easiest props are the ones updated to now.
Yeah, so I
it's
can
hard to
just
go back.
I can glaze a lot about it. It was just fun. And watching it in the cinema with everyone laughing along, it got a lot of laughs. And I just credit where credit's due. That was a really, really good movie. So fair play to the team on bringing Sexy back, because that was a good movie. And I also want to give extra shout outs because I am the proud owner of one of the props in bringing Sexy back.
You do.
I have the Justin.
A warped version. A warped version.
I have a warped version that you crumpled up of the Justin Timberlake poster. I've got that.
We put that up in Ryan's room.
No, the Britney Spears poster.
You put the Britney one in. I've got the Timberlake one.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Put the Britney Spears.
I don't know
one
who
up
has
in
the Brad
Ryan's
Pitt
room
one. I
above
think
his bed.
Ellie or Charlie have it.
But yeah.
I'm the proud owner of an original Bringing Sexy Back prop. Okay, but that's literally all I have to say on that because, as I said, everything that can be said has been said. Absolutely fantastic movie. Kudos to everyone that worked on it.
My number 2. Or do you want to go first?
I'll go number 2 because it's already been
If
mentioned.
it's a one
Mine's
that's already been
said, but
canned.
I think all of them. Yeah, mine's also canned.
I think, like James said, Canned is one of the films that visually and stylistically is distinct from the others because of its eeriness and its formatting of the aspect ratio and its color grading and all that stuff.
Sorry to interject, but I just want to, in the cinema, this is a little story. If you weren't there at the cinema, is when the credits rolled and Jack Beard's name came up, the cinema roared into applause and cheers, and he earned every one of those claps because fucking hell, he did a really good job.
He
He earned every one of those claps of his applause that he got.
He put a lot of effort, and it really did well. I think the con of Canned for me was it built up so much, but I think the payoff wasn't as strong as the build up. Which I understand.
Fair enough, understand.
But yeah,
maybe that's one of the reasons.
Which is why it's number 2 for me.
Fair enough.
I kind of agree with that, but also, just
I think
talking about more with the Jack Beard edit, the rotation effect that he uses really, really nails that atmosphere.
It does.
It really.
He didn't use it too much, but he used it
right
enough.
I had to get him to tone it down a bit.
Did he use it
good
too much?
directorial call? Really, really good directorial call.
Because it was good, but it was also somewhat getting to the point where it was a little too much. But then again, it works really well with Tom on sound, or Freddie, or whoever was doing the sound design with the extra effects. Really good sound effects and noises to create the atmosphere. And this was a negative that James said earlier, but I think it was a positive. Cutting to stock footage to show what the guy's thinking about, or
that's a highlight of it too.
I think that was brilliant, and I like that.
I understand that.
I like how
James.
different that is. I can see why you wouldn't like it.
I agree with both points. I like cutting to the stock footage, but that stuff would have been enhanced better if it was cutting to B-roll instead of stock footage.
Again, that's something I can imagine that you guys probably couldn't do. So I feel unfair knocking you for that one.
I
but
like how different it is using stock footage because no one uses stock footage, and I like it. It's not always a negative to use stock footage. I think it's a good.
It's not.
The stock footage you use really creep me out, like the mites or whatever you're using, like the wriggly worms and
maggots.
The maggots, I thought that was brilliant. It made me, and that's exactly what you're going for. So it did it well.
Thank you.
I don't even like that genre, and that shows how good the movie is.
To be honest, with Velgot's point, sorry if I'm interrupting anything, I think it kind of relates back to a point I made, is the blood being very, very obviously fake. I think had the blood been more realistic, or had that payoff been a more shocking dead body instead of a hand that looks like it's covered in ketchup, I probably would have boosted Canned so much higher. I think it was literally just that last shot, the blood being so fake was incredibly distracting for me. Had that been more realistic, like a more sort of reveal, I think Canned would have been so far up there. You know what I mean?
I get.
But that's a small.
Fred, what do you have to say about it? Like, what do you agree with what we're saying, or
every single one on my list so far? I've had nitpicks with all of them. All right, and Canned's at my number 1. But I don't know. It's
humble.
I know. I know.
How incredibly humble.
Such a humble.
No,
guy.
no. 100%. Be proud of your work because you should be. Because
you Canned.
Yeah,
because it's a really, really good movie.
Swampism! I have equal amount of hate for every single one, including my own. So I'll get to mine in a
all right,
minute.
I'll let you.
But my number 2 is How Not to Rob a Bank.
Hey.
And
Do explain.
basically,
Why is it not number one?
oh, I'll tell you
Just
why
can't.
right now.
I nearly put it as number 2, so
No, yeah,
fair-
fair.
Because
fair
it's
play.
biased.
Here's the reason why.
No.
Whilst I was on
Be
set, I had a
biased.
lovely time. It was great, but
Thank you very much.
obviously, if we take that away,
Yeah.
From
Take any bias. That's what I've tried to
any
do. I've tried to
bias
take
away.
any bias away from any of the films.
it's a very funny film, but not for the dialogue.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that it's one of the very few films that just about gets away with the fact that the dialogue, in my opinion, is a bit shit. Right?
Okay.
I
You said
don't
it's
like
dialogue.
I
shit.
don't like Lucy's dialogue in it.
Really.
It does not.
I have the opposite opinion. I thought it was really
if
funny.
if you like
I
it,
guess that's
great,
a personal
but
thing,
that's
but
a
it's
personal
your
thing.
ranking,
to be
so
fair-
you are fully in your
to
right
be
to believe
fair,
that.
you don't like Friends and I like Friends, so it just shows
That's a
different
personal.
humour.
It's completely
Exactly,
personal. ranking.
exactly. Like in my opinion, I feel like the humor in it felt a little bit unnatural and a little bit forced. Like Hugo really added to it.
Oh,
His
agreed.
line delivery. I said that to him when
Yeah.
I met up with him. I said your line
I was in
delivery
the car,
is.
and that's why I'm here.
That
I
made
was in the
everyone
car,
laugh.
and that's just why I'm also here. Like that. His line delivery is so fucking good. Like I said that to him. I said when you're looking for jobs in London, you need to prioritize the fact that your line delivery is really good for every different character that you do. Because when you're doing, Hugo and How Not to Rob a Bank, it feels completely different to the guy in the wedding. So the guy in the wedding thinks he's like a suave, cool guy,
And then
Right.
Hugo's the most
and then the other
awkward
one is
man in
like
How Not to Rob a Bank ever.
he's a awkward bloke, but has his limits as well, sort of thing, right? And they feel like two different people just from how you deliver the lines. You've got the same accent, but the demeanor's a little bit different in this one. It looks a little bit more desperate, but this one,
Mm.
but in the wedding
Such
one,
a
it's a
good-
bit like that.
Such a good.
So
performance.
the performance is like fucking spot on, mate. I think it was one of the best performances out of the lot for, supporting role and everything. I'm not gonna say which actress. Well,
Okay.
okay. Well, I
Nice
guess I
one,
kind of
Fred.
spoiled it. There, I wasn't. I personally not a big fan.
I think they did a really good job.
If
Yeah.
you
to
if
be
you think they
honest.
did a good job, that's
I
fine.
think they were
I just
probably my
didn't-
favourite. part of
Honestly,
it.
I think everything like 5+ on this list is purely like personal
Yes.
opinions.
Yeah, I just it wasn't.
enough.
It just wasn't for me really. But like if you guys thought she did a really good job, that's fine, right? But yeah, no, everything other than that, the physical humor was, I think, really, really good in it.
Hmm.
Really, really funny.
Mm.
It made me giggle. It made me chuckle. So that was pretty good.
To be fair,
Um,
your bit got the biggest laugh in the
Giggle,
whole,
giggle,
the
giggle.
whole out
Cry
of
by
the
Chrissy,
films. I think.
You came up with that bit as well, so fair
Yeah.
play.
Inset.
Would
a
have
lot
been
of, a lot
funnier-
of the bits came up on set, like the pointing
Mm.
one.
Yeah, all the impromptu jokes were probably the best ones.
which
That
is-
being said, I think it probably would have been funnier had you been listening to Baby Shark.
Fuck
honest-
off,
It would have been
bro.
funny if
Or
you-
Cocomelon.
Honestly, I don't think we should have used Billy Mason, the song. I
yeah,
think we should use
I think that was a
anything else.
personal joke, but
Oh, inside. I think we
Yeah.
wanted to have.
I
think-
used the thing is
Mm.
that sorry to interrupt.
No, no
I
worries.
used
On set.
classical music
On
Yeah,
set,
I think
yeah.
that would have
because
That
worked.
would've
Like
it's
been
got no
better.
copyright on it.
Amazing Spider-Man Stan Lee scene.
Where he's
Where he's
listening
got
to
the
this.
he-
Yeah.
That would have been so funny.
Yeah,
if
would've
we
been
used
better.
Something like that. Nice
Yeah.
reference. To
I
that.
think I liked the fact that we did the Billy Mason stuff because the joke is that you're missing the bank heist and the audience understands the joke that you're missing the bank heist, but it's just for the few people in the room that will understand the reference that he's
Yeah.
listening to the Billy Mason song.
Yeah.
It's like it just adds a little bit of an in joke in there, which we wanted to
Yes.
have in there, like a little bit of a wink and a nudge to our mates,
but I think,
but it maintains the actual original joke.
but James, I think Bill Chester Banks was enough,
Yeah, that's
Fair
what I'm
enough,
saying.
Yeah.
actually.
and
fair
the Billy
enough.
Mason
I thought
was
it was a
like
bit unnecessary.
was a cherry on
myself.
top, but it was also we already had a lot of cherry on top.
I thought
Fair
there was already
enough.
too much Billy
Yeah.
Mason, but
But
that's
yeah.
just because
I don't think you can ever have enough Billy
Okay,
Mason.
well,
Yeah.
And I know a few
That's
people
fair.
who agree with me on that.
So that was our number
Billy
2.
Mason.
No, I disagree.
Can we go on number
Fair.
1? Can I start with number
Yeah,
1?
but I think all of our number ones are the same. Of them.
Well, my number 1 is dysfunctional.
Same.
Mine's
Is-
dysfunctional
So
as well.
when I look at my list, the bottom half were films that had ambitious ideas but couldn't fit into the brief. The top half was more calm ambition, but did those calm ambitions really well.
Mm.
Dysfunctional, I feel like, is the only movie that had high ambitions and met the standards of the high ambition. Filming in a club at labs is crazy.
And they pulled it
and
off.
they pulled it off with that amount of extras they did.
Yeah.
Pulled it off, editing wise, and the crazy shots they used for it. Really well done to DOPs. Editing wise, it's done really well. Like Insignia convinced me that the aspect ratio slow transitions worked.
They did.
The title card of Dysfunctional, the way it's just there while the camera's moving.
Yeah,
I think that
really
was
adds to it.
really
Yeah.
good. Color wise, it was well done. Unlike How to Rob a Bank, I feel like the extras that me knowing them, I think works well on Dysfunctional because it pays less.
There's not enough focus on it.
Less
there's not
focus on like you guys where you had B-roll shots of me or people that
And
I
like
knew.
gags involving Fred
Yes,
or Oscar.
which-
or
But then, can I
whatnot.
just say, I know you're cooking with this.
It's good analysis.
But sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
the bit where Fred and Louis are dancing, I was laughing like hell at that, and that's not
Yeah.
what they're going for. They're
I
not
get
trying to
that.
make it a comedy.
For
But seeing Fred
Yes.
like
For context,
throw
it's the
his-
most
throw his
dramatic scene of the film
tongue
where it's
away.
revealed
And-
that she has been spiked, and in the background you can see Fred and Louis dancing, and he's like sticking his tongue
That's
out
its
and
con.
making
that-
like a freaky
that's
seal.
That's the
the one-
only problem I have with that movie.
But
Yeah,
at the same time,
but
it's a nightclub.
Yeah,
at-
no, yeah, I agree.
But even at
I
a
agree.
nightclub,
then you
you
don't
don't
see
see
people doing
somebody
that.
sticking their tongue.
You
out.
see
You
Fred,
do.
yeah.
Says the guy who went to a nightclub yesterday. I didn't see somebody stick their tongue out like that
Well,
yesterday.
clearly you haven't been to a nightclub where people are on cocaine. You know.
I kind of agree with
Alright.
Fred on
There's
this
Okay.
one.
there's
but
levels to it. Yes, you can say that happens in a club, but it also does take away from the
Yeah.
feeling.
What
of
I
it.
want to know is
guess.
how much of that is just because we're all really good mates with Fred. If you showed that to someone who doesn't
Someone,
know
yeah.
Fred, would they
Yeah.
pick up on
Tracy,
that?
Then they
the
would
editor.
Maybe they would focus on the actors.
Mm.
But then
It's-
you can
I'm-
somewhat say
what
that
did
with
you
our
say,
film.
Tracy,
about-
who's in charge of the editors and stuff. She's watched it several times through and she's never noticed it.
That's my thing.
see-
Is are we just
So-
critiquing that because
maybe
we're
that-
mates with Fred and we
because
just think
that's
it's funny
our
that
perspective.
then-
haha look it's our
Yeah.
best mate
Phil,
making a
with
funny
your
face in the background.
Perspective on how not to rob a bank, that you could say the same thing.
Yes,
Is it's also
I-
because you're in it that you're getting
Yeah.
distracted by it, and it's also your friends
and
you're getting distracted by it. If it wasn't our
get that.
friends, you wouldn't be.
I
getting
feel like if
distracted
I
by it.
wasn't in it and
Mm.
it wasn't, I was completely detached of it. How to Rob a Bank
Yeah.
would be higher up.
Oh really?
I agree with you on that, Billy. I think also Dysfunction. One thing it stands out also really is its messaging.
Mm.
It's the only film with a message
Valid.
and that really executes it well.
Valid.
Now, like Fred said, that messaging might be repetitive.
but it's still a
It
really
needs
to
good
be told.
message.
I've
Yeah.
never seen a spiking movie. I haven't seen much or any.
I've seen the occasional thing, and it is quite similar to that. But I think the way they did it was unique enough to the point where I wouldn't.
It
I kind of
distinct.
agree.
Mm.
I think
But so
Yeah,
maybe
I
that's why
agree.
I like it so much because I haven't delved into that genre.
so. It's a
lot.
new story. I
So
think
for me, it's fresh.
I'm gonna interject with some more dysfunctional glazing right here.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said. It's like there's stuff like they had such interesting shots, like the
Yeah.
GoPro shot, which
The
is the
GoPro
bird's
shot.
eye view of the
Yeah.
club.
Mm.
They got the shot where the camera's
The
in
tracking
front of
shot.
the woman.
Yes.
That,
is
that tracking when she's moving so much,
amazing.
but it's
That's a
staying
snorri
so,
cam.
it's
The
They-
so
snorri
cool.
cam shot is
Yes.
incredible.
They
and for
built
most,
it out of pipes. Like I'm not even.
it's
joking. They
insanely
actually
good.
They
made-
did
And for
really
most
amazing.
films,
Yeah,
that
they
would have
made it.
been the star of the show. That would have been the one thing
The
everyone says
cinematography.
that was good.
Yes.
But for us, it's just another thing that we can say, oh, that was also really good.
Another good editing
Mm.
thing was Esme
I was going to mention
being
that.
the recurring face
'cause in
and
their
how they
Vimeo review, it was
Yes.
really confusing to me.
yeah it
and
wasn't
They fixed it.
it didn't
For
they
them, because
put
if
that
you
visual point
if
to
you
the
haven't
best.
seen it,
Yeah.
it's if you've gotten this far through the episode and you haven't seen the film, get a life. But
Damn.
let's
fair.
face the facts here. But like if Swamp Izzo, Swamp Izzo's in the film too. He's in the background. Look out for him.
yeah,
But,
he's sticking his tongue out.
It's actually Swamp Izzo. But like in the I was talking to Esme one time. I think it was Esme. It was someone on the
Yeah.
dysfunctional crew, and I said, "What's your role?" And she says that I'm the recurring character because the woman's been spiked, so her memory's all fuzzy. So she sees these people all around the
Yeah.
club at different points. And I said in my head, I didn't say it out loud, but I said in my head, that's just not going to work.
Not gonna work.
That's such a confusing idea. somehow you're watching the film and you're never once confused, or you're confused and then
It's
everything
because they do a little
clicks into
montage.
place.
Yeah.
They do a little
Yeah.
montage of her being shown
Yeah.
in a very
And
clever
everything
way.
clicks into
And
place as, oh, that's why she's
one of the
recurring.
beginning,
Really, really smart,
one of the
really
beginning
clever.
shots is her at the bar.
Yeah.
So
It's
it
really-
starts that element starts from the beginning.
It's also a very minor
Yeah.
shot. This is something I've not heard anybody talk about yet. It's the first shot where it's a 360 view of the club.
Yeah.
Esme appears in it twice.
Yes.
I don't know. Did she run behind the camera? Because if she did that,
She ran through us and then
that was a
I didn't even notice
brilliant,
that.
brilliant
I'm
shot.
sure
It's
it
a
was
very subtle touch, but
Yeah.
it's just the fact that they pulled off such a complex idea so well without confusing the
even
audience.
production design wise
play.
with all the writing on the wall, it's
Mhm.
easy to say I book labs. Oh, I'm not going to do much in
They
it because
really-
the set comes with the
Mm.
location, but
They really
but
gave it an identity.
giving it more of an identity and saying, oh, let's not keep it at
Mm.
labs. Let's make it an alternate version of labs, which is ours.
It's got a
This is gonna
message,
sound
Yeah.
and
somewhat
it's-
rude,
Yeah.
but I still just thought that was labs. I couldn't really tell a difference.
Yeah.
No,
But
fair
I
enough.
haven't been
Fair.
to labs that often. I've gone probably like
But I
4
guess
times
that's
in
just
my
because
life.
it's the local club for us.
Yeah.
So of
Yeah.
course we're gonna go. Oh look, it's our mates at Labs filming in Labs. But it works well as kind of like because
It's not too distracting.
yeah. I also thought that what helped is the club was busy. It was lively, but it wasn't too busy. So it really gave a really good perspective of a
Yeah.
dead end club. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
Yeah.
just a dead club. And I thought that worked really really well.
I still
just-
find it really weird that
Mm.
Timothy Chalamet went.
He did, yeah.
Like,
Timothy
it's just-
Chalamet
He
went
did.
there.
turned
Oh,
up,
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one other good editing technique was cutting back to the spiker throughout the
Yeah.
montage.
Yes.
Going back to that
It was
shot.
the
I
fact
like
it was
that as
really
well.
eerily like in the
Paints him
corner.
as a villain
It
really
was
well.
so wow. It
Yes.
went. It
Yeah.
worked
But
so.
But then it kind
Wow.
of takes me away from it, seeing Oscar be sat next to the villain.
To
for
be
so
fair,
long.
no, for me, it was Oscar with his facial hair, so that kind of gave it a degree of
But again, that's
separation.
another case of we're looking out for our
Yeah.
mates and not
yeah.
not for
And
the
that's
film.
why I have a slight problem with
yeah.
it.
But,
I'm not letting
I
that affect
think
my opinion of
The
it,
other
so.
thing I think
Yeah.
this is my last bit. Everything that you guys have said, I completely agree with, and is why it's a number one. But the last thing I'm going to glaze about Dysfunctional is how they did the extras. Is you've got so many
Yes.
extras to get continuity with that many
The
extras is impossible. And I've learnt that from dealing with the How Not to Rob a Bank because that was a fair few extras, but not too many.
Yeah.
Continuity in that was hard.
Hard.
Fuck knows how they did it in a club, and fuck knows how they pulled it off, and it was not distracting at all.
I'm assuming they
Yes.
had
As-
one role
as-
that really focused on
As
it.
much
Yeah,
as
they
I
had
was
80.
messing around on that set,
Mm.
like sticking my tongue out and shit and like fucking about, and then like with Louis and everything.
Yeah.
One thing I did help out a little bit
A little
with
bit.
Bro,
some of the people.
bro
in
trying
the
to get credit.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
you
get
should
credit
have.
now. Oh, come on, guys. No,
Cam
what's it
wasn't
called?
good enough.
It wasn't good enough, guys. Come on. Now, in the corner, what happened was they had a shot where, I think it's the shot where she walks out into the corridor. I'm
Mhm.
not sure if they used it or not in the film,
Maybe.
but Joe had to walk backwards.
Oh yeah, I remember when this
And
happened. Actually, yeah.
They
You put your
we
hand on
did
the.
not want him to hit his head on the thing. So what I
Yes.
got me and some of the actors to do was that when they were dancing and stuff, they go like that, and then when Joe was just about to like, it had to be
You
timed.
put your
right.
hand
You put
on
your
the-
hand on the thing, so he'd hit your hand, not your
And not the
head.
not the sharp edge of the door.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So then
Smart.
he was all good.
But yeah, Billy, you got any other comments on Dysfunctional? And then we'll go
I-
to Fred's number
The
one.
reason it's number one for me, and this is just going to be glazing it completely,
Ah.
but it's the only one to me that doesn't feel like a student film.
Valid.
Yeah.
And
Valid.
the quality of it, to me,
Yeah.
I know Fred's going to completely disagree,
Yeah, that's fine.
is like levels above
Yeah,
everyone's.
like I said,
including
it's
ours.
their big ambition
Yeah,
met
they nailed
with.
They nailed both
It was one of the
ambition
few
and
films
the
that worked
result,
with the fact that
but,
most of the cast members were under
Because
25.
you see, not to discount and bringing Saki back, but location-wise, it was simple, and because ours was filmed in a basic uni home.
Yours was filmed at the B&B.
in
Go back to the
B&B.
B&B.
And yours, not to diss yours too, but yours was
We
filmed
filmed
on
in Commons. We
on
filmed in Commons.
campus.
Took a while to decorate it, but at the end of the day, we filmed on
We
Commons.
had a really good idea, big idea, but
Yeah.
location-wise and ambition-wise in that way weren't big. But Dysfunctional did our things where we had the big genre,
We had
the big story, but also they had
The big
big
location.
locations
They
and
also-
the big techniques.
They decorated it, which is what we
Yes.
did, but they decorated an already big place to make
Yes.
it even bigger.
Yeah.
Mm.
Any other comments on dysfunctional other
I'm,
than that, or
I'm
just
just very happy with it. So
Yeah.
that's all
Rightfully
I'm going to
so.
say.
Fair
There's,
play
like,
to
one
Dysfunctional.
small issue I have with it, but that's it.
Fred? Like I know your number one's cans. Do you wanna walk us through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel free to be as biased as you want, by the way, because this is a personal ranking, of course.
Yeah.
And if you want to rank yourself number one, be my guest.
No,
You should be proud of your film. It's really good.
Well, the thing is that, like, I kind of disagree with Billy's point about the fact that you can't tell that all of them are student films and like the quality's like higher and all that. I think the quality is very good. I think the shots are very good. The writing is good. Set design is lovely. It's very nice. But there's just something to it where it kind of feels like, I know this is very hard to do in 6 minutes, but there's like something a little bit soulless about it. I don't know what it is. I can't quite put my finger on it, and you may think that's a bit of an invalid response, but there's just a feeling that's not right with it to me.
Do you know what I think is partly for that?
Yeah.
Partly in agreement with that is, you know, the friend. She's such an arsehole.
Yeah, that's why. I think that's why.
It's like,
She's just an
no
arse.
one is like that. I know there's evil people
If
and
my
horrible
mate
people,
turned
but
around to me-
no,
yeah.
then no friend ever in the history of friends has ever said, "No, you're making it up. You're not Spike." I mean, they have said it, but they haven't like completely ignored every sign.
I
Yeah,
think what they
like-
should have done is they had a lot of text at the end, which was like a PSA text, is they should have had a little bit of text saying how a lot of the time dismissive friends are to blame.
They
for-
did say that. They did say
Did
that.
they?
I
Oh,
think they
my
did.
bad.
Say, if
My
your
bad.
friends don't believe you,
It was-
then the police won't really either.
It was-
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It
sorry,
was
they did.
too
Didn't they? My bad.
dismissive though. There's
It was
dismissive,
sh-
but there's extremely
Yeah.
dismissive. Maybe that's to get their point across, but
Yeah.
it was really, it sort of took me out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Like-
that's I can agree completely with.
Yeah.
Fair.
If they were
Fair.
trying to highlight the fact that her mate was a bit shit, I think they should have done a little bit more with that, like plot wise, just to give it a little bit of character, which I know is very hard to do in
that.
6
You can't
minutes.
do it in
but
6 minutes, unfortunately. Maybe
Yeah.
if there was a 10-minute cut, you could
Yeah.
you'd nail that. But
Yeah.
But
A
unfortunately,
lot of the problems I have with like the films, even the ones at the top and the ones at the lower end of the list, is just
Yeah.
stems from 6 minutes
6
instead of
minutes
10.
is such a
I
tough
think,
time
I think
span.
Yeah.
I think the big learning curve for all the crews was making a short film.
Yeah,
Like
but yeah,
how to work with the time you
Like,
have.
For us
instead of-
especially, it was a
yeah.
problem because our credits were really funny,
Yeah.
and our end credit scene was really funny, but we couldn't even show. it
yeah.
because
When we
ran out of
post it
time.
online, we're gonna post like an 8-minute version, just because
Mm.
the credits are like a
Yes.
minute long. Because everyone who worked on the film and everyone who was on set has their own like personal,
Yeah.
and they
mug
bloody
shot.
deserve it as well.
and yeah, they deserve it, and it's really really funny. So we're just gonna upload it with an extended cut where we show everyone's mugshots. But that's very very fair
That's a valid
point.
point.
All right,
that's
so
very
why
fair
was
point.
Can number one then?
In my opinion,
Mhm.
I hate Canned,
Mm,
and
Ah.
it's my number one pick.
that's so fair.
And you're probably thinking, like, why is that? And that's because I worked on it. No. What's it called? It's because it's the one where I've got a few nitpicks with it, but I still feel like what it does well.
No, yeah,
And I'm
100%.
happy with that. And that's
100%.
what I like. Because the thing is that it would have been so easy for me to turn around this year and say, I'm going to make a comedy.
Yeah.
Fair.
Because I feel like a lot of people were anticipating the fact that I was going to make a
You
comedy.
have a lot of experience with comedy, so
Yeah.
people probably thought, oh, he's gonna make it.
And I'm going to just make some. But the
Like
thing.
a big scale W Palms.
Yeah, something like that, right?
But you
the
didn't.
thing is that there's so many. The thing is that, you know, I just kind of feel like I'm getting known quite a lot for playing the ass quite a lot.
I think. Well, I had the different thought when I knew you were gonna direct. I didn't think you were gonna direct a comedy.
Yeah,
I'm glad you didn't. As funny as your stuff is, I'm glad that you did a
Yeah.
horror, and you did it really well too.
yeah.
There's
It's
a
'cause
reason I
wanna-
put yours number 2. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
I want to get the variety, and the thing
Mm.
is that
You want range.
oh yeah, I want range, and that's the thing. And the thing is that I already know I can make people laugh with a stupid film
Mm.
that's low quality. So I was like, all right, I want to make something high quality now,
Mm.
good as I can, and it's gonna be fucking disturbing.
Do you
to
think
watch.
You challenged
Do you
yourself.
think you really nailed what you were aiming for?
No.
Oh,
No,
and that's fair
I
enough.
I think
That's good. That's
maybe you
honestly
put
a
it
good thing.
you put it number one, even though I think you hate it too much, but that's coming out of your own harshness on yourself.
Yeah.
And
Same
that's a
thing.
good
I
thing
feel
to
the same
have.
way with bringing sexy back. That's
Mm.
why.
Yeah.
And I think
But-
James and I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
as
feel the
well.
same way. I think
But-
everyone probably feels the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
It's like the thing I was saying about after the premiere day
Yeah.
is the person I've kind of grown to appreciate is George Lucas. Everyone would always bash him for saying, "Oh, why are you keeping on changing a film which is already perfect?" And he's always like, "Oh, I always want to
Yeah,
add something new."
'cause-
And then everyone's like, "No, that's stupid." I now understand where he's
Yeah.
coming from. I know that with your own film, there's always something that you want
You
to
become
add.
a perfectionist with your own film.
Yeah,
'cause it's
entirely.
your film, and
Yeah.
you want to
There's
mold it
nothing
as much as
more-
good possible.
Yeah.
Can I just say I'm very proud with everyone.
Oh,
because
entirely.
Yes.
This is
Yeah, no, I
everyone's
think-
first, well, most people's first
Yeah.
big
Project.
And for them
project,
all
and
to
they're-
be good.
They're all really good. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not one that's bad, and that's really impressive. Everyone's first try on something like
Yeah.
this.
They
Mm.
shot
It was a
out
good
the
first
park,
try.
firing
Working
on
in
all
lots of
cylinders.
new groups as well.
But
Fantastic.
I don't want to be a cynic at all, right? But
Yeah.
I do not think this is any of our best work.
Yeah, and
No.
that's a good
Do
thing.
not
I
think
think
that-
because we
it's-
haven't made it yet.
I
we
don't-
haven't peaked.
I completely agree,
yeah.
and that's why you're so harsh on yourself.
Never.
Because
That's
you know
why-
we can do
yeah.
better.
'Cause
and
if
we
you-
can.
if
and
you-
that-
Yes.
and,
Candle.
I'm gonna
And
kill
yeah,
myself.
But-
maybe that's why
No,
you put
that's
number one is because
It's
it was a-
Swabizzo!
it was a challenge for you,
Yeah.
and you like that you challenged yourself.
Yeah.
That's just.
Yeah.
I think that's
Which-
probably the main reason.
In the same way as
but-
like some music artists prefer their most experimental album because it
Mm.
made them better as a musician in general.
Yeah.
Similarly, I think How Not to Rob a Bank, it was partly quite, like, for me, I resonate with How Not to Rob a Bank a lot. It's just because of how much fun we had making it.
Mm.
Is I think if we were
There's
watching
also a
from an
lot of stress
outsider's
in there.
perspective,
Yeah.
as much stress as it was,
It was still fun.
it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And the stress just made it better because you're watching this film, and I'm sure you two can resonate with this as well. You're watching this film and you're going, I've gone through so much for this, and the fact it's good is
And
something.
it's funny. That's
The
funny.
Yes.
Yeah, the fact that the stress paid off and we didn't stress over nothing
But
is something I'm so thankful for.
But also, you have that feeling, but also sometimes if you had not the best kind of journey,
Mm.
it kind of also devalues the product a little bit
Fair
because
enough.
you're like, I like the film, but also
You
I-
had such a shit
I
time.
I didn't like
That's
the time I
somehow
had.
how I felt with ours.
Because
actually.
me and Jukes said we were talking about this after the
Mm.
Vimeo review. He said, "Oh, your film's the best," and I said, "No, I just don't feel it." And I
Mm.
said the same thing about his films, and we were like,
Did you
"Maybe-
not? Did you not have fun
with,
making
with,
it then?
With ours, I personally thought when I watched it the first time it was fully made, I personally thought, yeah, it's fine. I just not hated the process. The process took a lot out of me
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
personally.
Fair.
So
Yeah.
it sort of made me a bit disappointed with the product. But then hearing everyone's reaction to it
Yes.
brought it back up.
Oh, interesting.
Because
I had the
Very
same
interesting.
thing about Bringing
Before
Sex Back.
the Little Theatre review, if I hadn't seen ours again and
Yeah.
hearing everyone's reaction to it, I probably would have put it sixth. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I would
wow.
have done the same with my
Yeah.
film. I wouldn't put it at third. I would probably put it at
But
fifth.
hearing everyone's positive, and not-
Interesting.
also negative
Yeah.
as well, feedback on it really made me feel a lot better with it. And
That's
I was
very,
proud
very
of it.
Yeah.
interesting, actually. Do
Yeah.
you feel the same way, Fred?
I mean, just a quick circle back to Canned with all
Yeah.
of it. The thing that I'm annoyed about more so is just sort of the stuff that could have been replaced in certain bits and bobs. Like I kind of wanted to have that ending where you didn't know whether or not Jet had made it out the building
Yeah,
alive.
That's what I
That
feel
was my
missing.
ending.
There was a
But
lot
we didn't
missing
work
with that
that in.
ending because him just walking off and being okay.
It is a
Yeah.
bit of an
But
anticlimax.
then showing the other guy with his the same watch, I could tell that was coming. Like I knew that was coming, and obviously
it wasn't that
We
big.
wanted
it was
you to know
foreshadowed
that.
really well,
Yeah.
and maybe
Yeah.
that's what you were going for. But
It
that's
was
why
supposed
When he
I
goes,
mean,
I got the
yeah.
same watch, and you just hold on the Baron for maybe 2 seconds longer than you should.
that's why I
It
thought-
adds so much, and those extra 2 seconds, some are very, very small, but there's something so uneasy about it, and it really, really works well. It was a
But
really good
that's
decision.
Some way that's
Yeah.
some reason why I feel like the ending's not as good as it could have been because I saw it coming, and I feel like
Yeah.
with that type of movie, personally,
You don't
there
wanna know
should
what's
be a
coming next,
big
yeah.
twist at the
Yeah.
end.
That's what I
The-
felt.
What the thing that was gonna happen was things that I wanted to-
Swabizzo!
Fuck's
Sorry,
sakes.
that's the last time I was.
Sorry. The things I wanted to work into it was the fact that the we wanted to imply more that the interviewer was probably a cannibal,
Yeah.
and he wasn't. Like,
He was a weird guy.
he was like a weird bloke sort of
Yeah.
thing. And you already kind of get that vibe in it, but we really wanted to
You wanted to do it more.
do
yeah,
it,
not enough.
lean into it more.
Well, I think.
And
you did
we
it to a
also
good point,
wanted to
personally.
lean into the fact that the Baron is a necrophile.
What's a necrophile?
So a
Fucks dead
person who
bodies.
sleeps with dead
Oh,
bodies.
right. So necrophiliac. Yeah, you got that.
necrophiliac, right?
I think the balance you got was really good. I think
Yeah.
when the Baron caressing the bloody hand, it was uneasy, added a lot, but it didn't tell you too much. It wasn't. It showed, it didn't tell, and it let the audience put two together. Because what the audience can imagine will always be more disturbing than what a filmmaker can show.
I
Mm.
I
you know.
wish you could make a director's cut, like that ending, because that ending,
Yeah.
the ending you've just pitched, sort of blows my mind away, and that would maybe make it number one for me.
The original ending is he leaves like he does in the film,
Yeah.
but then the VCR comes out, and then he puts it on a shelf.
Mm.
And it's the
Right.
Baron putting it on the shelf, isn't
The
it?
Baron puts it on the shelf,
And then you see him, the
and
dead
then
body.
you see like, what was it? I think it's
2 watches maybe would be quite cool.
I think like for
It
the
was-
sake of ambition, I think it was like something like his jacket is like still in the house or something,
Ooh.
or it was, or if we were going in for like full gore sort of thing, like the bloke is just like on the bed like
Also,
that, you know.
but what you could also do is maybe, you know how you're focused on the watch, having matching watches.
Yeah.
You could just show another watch on the floor.
I
or something
think
like that could
the
be-
ending, when you first pitched Can to me, and the thing that really got me hooked on it was the idea that the ending happens, and then the VCR comes out, and you see the Baron still there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that was.
That would have been cool.
if you,
that
like,
is what I wanted
small.
to do.
I wish
but
you did that personally.
Phoebe
Had you
just
done that-
wasn't having it.
had
that's
you
the
done
thing.
that, I think that would have boosted it to a top 3 for me.
That would have been
Like a
number one if you did
definitive,
that.
like maybe a number 1 for me. You know, if
Yeah.
had you done that, and then it probably would have been a number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that film was fucking hellish to make,
My
and
God.
it taught me so much, and I'm so glad, because now I feel like after all of that, I feel like, you know, I can properly run a crew now, and I am not taking any bullshit from anyone from that.
I hope
your
your third year film really captures that.
Well, mate.
I'm
it will.
excited for it. I'm
to
excited
see
for
Yeah.
it.
It's like the thing is I know now how pre-production works and how that's got to go and everything, and how smoothly that can be if you get the right person for it. You know, I know how to break up arguments on film sets and stuff. The main reason why arguments happen is because they just don't trust the director over
Yeah.
something, or
Or don't
and-
trust
and-
each other.
or they
Yeah.
don't trust
It's a
each
lack of
other.
trust,
It's like it's over something stupid, like oh, we want to do this, like the DOP wants to do this shot but the director doesn't, and
Yeah.
it's pretty self-explanatory. Don't do it because the director doesn't want to do it, right?
Mm.
And the thing is that working with some people who are quite overpowering,
But then-
in quotation marks.
Can I just say
Yeah.
something? I was a DOP myself, and I think it's important for the DOP to
Yeah,
Just-
I
experiment.
completely agree. I think it's
What it
very
needs to be is the
important, but-
DOP needs to offer shots, and then the director needs to say yes or no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
what I wanted to
yeah,
do,
I
but
agree with that.
that ended up with an entire
not only
argument
yes or
on
no.
film set for
No,
about
not only yes or
25
no. You also
minutes.
have to give a reason why
gotta-
you say no.
You can also say, I personally don't want it, but give it a go. And if you like, if you change my mind with what you get,
Yeah,
then maybe
that's
use
what
it.
we did.
That's what
I
think
did
you
that
should
a
do.
couple times, but there was one time where I was just like, "There's just no point in doing this," and I explained
Okay.
why, and then we went back and forth
Well,
over it for
but then-
25
Yeah,
minutes.
That's-
but then you
mm.
It was just
disagreeing
like,
with that
mate.
made it go on for longer. You should have just given him the benefit of the doubt. I know it was difficult, but just give him the benefit of the doubt, and maybe in some other universe it would have changed your mind. I'm not
Ju-
saying it
ju-
would have.
the
I'm just
thing
saying
is
it
that-
could have.
This is what we did.
I
We
think-
did that, and then the shot didn't make it in the film.
I think.
Yeah.
So I
but
was
it's-
right.
I know.
Yeah,
I know
I
you're
think-
right.
Learning
and that's
experience.
Easy to s-
It's-
say, but
yeah.
you also just give him a. It's not going to take long to capture one shot,
Mm.
unless it's obviously a long shot. But
It
you know
was.
what I mean.
It was basically
Alright.
the shot was he had to pack up a bag and then leave the house, basically, right? And it was literally just a shot of him putting things in a bag.
Yeah.
And then I had the AD in my ear going like, "We haven't got time for this. We haven't got
Okay.
time."
Well then.
And
don't
I'm
do it.
Yeah.
going, "Look, listen. All right, this is all like, you know, he wants to get this shot, but you don't want to get it. Personally, I don't want to get it either, but he sat here like fucking Fort Knox going, no, we need to get this shot. It's so important for the continuity.
And you didn't
And
use it.
We got the,
Then
and then I was like,
it's-
fine, let's get the shot. We got it, and then the editor went, this is shit, we're not using it.
But
And I was
despite
like, well, there we go.
despite the journey, Canned is still your number one.
Canned is
And I
a good
think-
movie.
yeah.
Canned is a good movie.
I think despite
and the
all
struggle's
journeys,
worth it.
It's just like shit would just go so smoothly if people just actually fucking listen.
Okay.
Basically, that's my
despite
point.
all
get your point.
journeys,
You get my point, right? Like, I like the DOP coming up with ideas and doing stuff.
It's-
I'm still open to that.
it's-
That's great. But if I say no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work when you're running out of time, especially.
yeah,
Exactly. Like this
right now.
podcast.
Yeah,
Right.
speaking of running
So
out of
what
time.
a tangent,
Being
Fred
54
complaining.
minutes.
I almost want to just stretch it out for another 5 minutes so we can hit the
Okay,
2-hour mark.
yeah.
So we
But,
can have a feature-length top
I
five.
just want to talk about Top Fellas season 2. What another great season
Yeah.
of Top Fellas.
Yeah, that was really good.
This I feel like last year, like our films, we've gone bigger and better with this year Top Fellas
Yeah,
season.
fingers crossed.
I'm glad that we did another Top Fellas.
Little bit of lore
Little
for
bit
the
of lore.
people who don't know is in the Badminton Sam episode.
Yeah.
We had the idea of embargo was come
Yeah.
up with on the episode on air right then and there, and it was just a gag that came up with that. I think a couple of months later, we do a TV show with a 30-person
Yeah.
crew, directed by me, written by Fred,
Fred.
vision mixed by Billy, and floor managed by Vilgot, about embargo.
Embargo.
Starring Sam.
Starring
Starring Sam.
Badminton Sam. It came full circle.
That's so
A
crazy.
dumb gag that we
Yeah.
came up with on a podcast that we do that is just for shits
Yeah.
and giggles has become one of our core assessments and one of the reasons why studio for so many people was quite fun is because of
Yeah.
Top Fellas.
One
And
of
we were
the
ranked
No.
the best game show.
No, one of the another highlight for me is the
Bizzo!
Vilgot's New Year's Eve party.
Oh, that's a great video.
A stupid gag that came up on a night out.
Yeah.
I made that video, and now a lot of people came up to me and said, "Yo, that was
A
the
lot of people have said that's
funniest
one of
video
the
ever."
best videos that we've done.
But yeah,
But
I-
yeah,
and the
I think-
same thing with the Pilk video.
Pilk.
I think this season we had, I think, one of the best episodes, which was, and I kind of want to do more of that. Whatever it was, that was just fucking great, and that was the best achievements and best mistakes.
oh, that was a
episode.
funny episode.
Like,
Yes.
although the topics were a bit awkward and stuff, it was just, it was so funny doing the acting
Oh,
challenge.
the acting challenge.
Oh,
was
That
the
is
amazing.
acting,
made
the
that
improv.
episode.
We
Yeah.
need to again.
We need to do more of
I
that.
think
I want to do. What I want to do is when we went to the BBC studios in Cardiff in first year, we
Yes,
saw
we
the
did s-
audio
see
suite, and they
that.
said this is where we do our audio dramas. I want to do Top Fellas audio dramas. That'd be
would
so.
That's one
Like
thing I wanna do.
improv audio
I think-
dramas will be the funniest possible thing.
Mm.
We could
The audience
ever do.
members, I think one thing you'll see more third year is more experimenting.
I think we should.
I
do
think more stuff
Mm.
outside of the
What-
podcast.
What we're also
Yeah.
gonna tease a little bit is we've made a little song, a little.
Yes.
a
Yeah,
little-
yeah,
We're
we
not
have,
gonna
we
That's
have.
coming
show in
soon.
this episode. But
Yeah,
I
so
may be uploading content over the summer.
Oh, you
and
better.
I might
Top
be
Fellas.
making my standalone episode.
I
over
might.
the
I
summer
might try and
too.
see if I can
Yeah.
put another
Yes,
James
and
sings.
you
in
will
there.
always have those Vilgot is bored type of
Bill
stuff.
got his board is the
Because
best.
he is aboard a little bit. All
And
the time.
I always have the stupidest ideas and that I execute the most,
Mm.
more than my films.
All right, we've got about 3 minutes. I'm just going to do some final closing comments about the Swamp Izzo. Hell yeah, about Swamp Izzo.
About second year.
Big up Swamp Izzo.
Second year was one of the best school years ever.
No, yeah, I
School.
I
agree.
would say.
Yeah, unique.
In my
times.
life.
Educational, yes.
Yeah.
in my
I agree. I think
Um,
on the topic of films, which we just spent the last 2 hours ranking, so I'm gonna.
It was
it could be hellish, but also it was
There
awesome.
was a lot of stress in there.
A lot of
but it was
highs, a
good.
lot of lows.
There was so many lows.
But it was
so
Fred,
many.
I think you can say it was worth it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh,
it was
come
a
on.
laugh.
Don't
yeah,
a
it was
laugh.
worth it.
On the-
Candace number one on my
You know what? Like,
Yeah, it was worth it. I had the best
for
film.
all of the traumatizing shit that happened throughout all of this year, right?
Yep.
There was a couple laughs, and that was it.
No, I think that was more than a couple laughs. Stop being so
Like, I don't know.
negative.
There was a couple laughs and a fat wank, and it was pretty good.
Oh,
Fat wank.
you're so disgusting. You're so
It was
On
a
the
good
subject, all right, I'm going to close off the episode
subject of
before.
wanks.
On the
Subject
subject
of
of
fat wanks.
wanking, I'm going to close off the episode. I think everybody with the ranking, if you are low on the ranking, that's not a knock on you
No.
as a film.
No,
All
Not
of the
as a crew
films-
member.
All of the films are interchangeable, if you ask me. Every one of
We
them
can
was
confidently say
fantastic.
all the crew members probably did their fucking best on making their films.
Yeah, I think
Probably.
probably most
There
of the
are
crew
some
members,
exceptions, but
which we will not be
in ge-
naming, but
yeah,
you know who they
in
are.
general, every person in their crews did their best on making their
I
films.
think everybody should be incredibly proud of
And you should be
everything
proud,
that they've
yes.
made in second year. All of the films are, for first try, all of the films are absolutely incredible. Watching it at the Little Theatre on the premiere was one of the most fun days I've had since moving to Bath. And I think if nobody else has anything else to say, I think I think everyone should be exceedingly proud of all the work that they've done this year because it's all absolutely
Yes.
fantastic.
What are you looking for?
The outro. Is
That
it
one.
that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
On that subject.
on that subject, see you guys for season 3 of Top Villas.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much for listening to our ramblings for a long time. Billy, you got any closing comments?
Burn.
Plank.
Blank!
On job.
Sam!
Hello.
Swamp Izzo!
Hey, suck my dick. Swamp
Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo!
Call me.
Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo! Swamp Izzo!